Hello, everyone. Welcome into episode 107 of the Plastic Posse podcast. If you're listening to the podcast for the first time, well, we celebrate scale modeling in the global community around this great hobby. Before we get into talking about scale modeling, I want to give a tip of the Stetson to our Patreon supporters, especially the deputy marshals. Y'all help make the Plastic Posse happen, and we have a sincere thanks that go out to each and every one of you. Well, we are short a couple of hands. JB is traveling, and Jensen is having technical difficulties. I think his PC is no longer with us, but hopefully we'll get him back for the next episode. We are joined by Mr. Grant Mayberry. How you doing, Grant?
Doing good. How you doing?
Better than you, I think. Hopefully you're feeling better.
Yeah, I'll get better. Just been dealing with COVID for the last week myself, so I'm okay.
Good deal. We got Doug Smith in the house. How you doing, Doug?
I'm doing pretty well today. Thank you very much. How are you?
I'm well, and Doug is sporting a very, very nice collection of facial hair.
It's No Shave November, man. And as I was telling Grant before, I have never in my 54 years grown a beard. Not once.
Well, not bad.
So I was going to stick to every time I've tried. It's like 10 days in, I can't take this anymore. I think every man who encourages another man to grow facial hair is a sadist. The itching and everything is just horrible. But I've made it through that part. I'll make it through the month, and then it's coming off.
Good deal. We have a special guest from West Texas, Mr. Justin Lentz. How you doing, Justin?
I'm all right this morning, man. Other than the near never-ending string of technical difficulties that I just faced to get on this thing.
You won, though.
Yeah. I did win, and I'm here, and I'm feeling good.
That's right. We can hear you. Good sound too. So that's awesome. And finally, but certainly not leastly, from the East Coast, TJ, how are you doing, my friend?
No, not too bad. Can't complain.
Good deal. Well, we are recording, on the week leading into Thanksgiving. So holidays are coming up, so that's going to be nice. I think we're all looking forward to it, especially TJ. His football team is doing really, really well. So for Thanksgiving, I think he gets to watch his Commanders stomp all over my team in the Thanksgiving Day game. So that should be fun.
Not this year. They play tomorrow.
Oh, it's tomorrow. Okay. Yeah that's right. Tomorrow. Well, either way, you just get your present early then, I guess. We also want to extend a thanks to our partners that have supported us and continue to make this happen. So thank you to Tankcraft, Tamiya USA, Bases by Bill, and AK Interactive. Well, let's start out and kind of do a little bit of a catch-up. We'll start with TJ, but let's talk about any new acquisitions you guys have made.
Not a whole lot. Just a bunch of little piddly stuff. It's close to Christmas, so I don't want to buy a whole bunch of stuff, but been kind of just collecting some aftermarket stuff that I need for some builds that I'm working on. One of the interesting things is I got some gas patch machine guns for a Wingnut Wings kit that I've had for a little over a year, maybe a year and a half. It's kind of on my list to build in 2025, so kind of excited about that.
That's cool. Can you tell us what it is, or is it a secret?
No, it's the Salmson.
Oh yeah,
SA2 or something like that. I can't remember.
Yeah, I look forward to that. Those are great kits, and I've heard those gas patch parts are a massive, massive upgrade.
Oh yeah, these I think these are 3D printed. Yeah, just looking, I've looked at some at shows and stuff at vendors, and yeah, they're pretty sweet. Just looking at them, they look beautiful. So,
Doug, what about you? You picked anything up in the last few weeks?
Well, let's see. On episode 105, TJ challenged me to build a facade from scratch. So I've been gathering what I need to build a facade from scratch. I got some of the AK carving foam, that yellow-orange stuff, and I designed something, and I started making progress on that. I'll tell you what, that stuff is brittle, super brittle. So if you have a skinny part, I actually had to go in and reinforce it. I put glue balsa to the back of it so that it wouldn't break so easy. It does take detail super great. I love that stuff, but at the same time, you got to be cautious. It's not forgiving, and I feel like I need to wear a respirator if I'm standing on it. It's really fine stuff. I also picked up some of the, I don't know what to call it, this green foam that I always saw Nuke Man Mike using at Nats. He was always carving stuff out of it, and it looked fun to use. So I got in touch with him a while back, and he gave me a link to what it was. So I picked some of that up as well. So I'll be doing some background work with that as well. But that's pretty much all I've done this time.
No, that's cool. That's really good. I can't wait to see what you come up with. That'll be really good. I've been actually watching a lot of Martin's videos on buildings and structures, working on that water wheel that he did a while back, just getting more and more fascinated with that, the structure and the carving and everything all the time. So, all right. Well, Grant, other than trips to the pharmacy and getting yourself ill, what have you acquired besides the Rona?
Let's see. I just got in the mail a couple of days ago the new Magic Factory PLA aircraft carrier, 700 scale. There's two different versions. There's a plain version, then there's an upgraded version. This one has the painted deck already and PE, and got that one. It's a really nice kit. Magic Factory does some really nice ships, especially their bigger aircraft carriers. They have the Gerald Ford also, 1700 scale. Other than that, I've been working a little bit on some figures, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. But other than that, that's pretty much it. Like I said, I've been down taking care of my wife and my father-in-law the week before last, and then getting them healthy, and then I caught it from them. So I've been down for a little while.
Well, I hope you feel better soon. Hey, which is that the carrier that the Russians gave them, or is that the one they've kind of natively built in China?
This is the newer one. This is the native built one, the flat deck instead of the swoosh deck, I guess they call it. Well, this is the flat deck one. It's about 3/4 to a half. It's about 3/4 the size of the Gerald Ford. So at least the models are. It's an interesting kit because it's got it has a lot of their so-called stealth fighters on there and all the kind of stuff like that. So it's going to be an interesting build, a fun little thing like that. Trying to find 700 scale figures has been a little hard. I've been trying Black Cat and a couple other manufacturers, but I found some a couple days ago. But should be fun. Should be really fun. It's going to real tiny figures to at least put some life on it.
Wow, 700 scale figures. I think you might be running a fever. You might want to look at that. Maybe take some ibuprofen or something. All right, West Texas. What about you? What have you picked up in the last 2 or 3 weeks?
I would like to first echo your consternation over 700 scale figures. Like, how big is that? I mean, smaller than a grain of rice.
Oh yeah. I remember in Vegas Nats. One of my favorite builds was the Tim Nelson brought I think it was a Tennessee battleship, and he had put figures on there, and I remember just kind of looking at it going, man, this would be hard to paint if you were an ant,
Yeah, there's a book out there where a guy, I can't remember the name of the guy, very famous. He built the Lexington as it was blowing up at Midway, and he used the little 1/700 scale figures that were photo etch, and he actually put blobs of cement CA on for the heads and the bodies to give them a little bit of dimension. But yeah, it's crazy. Thank God for 3D printers.
For sure.
Jeez.
Anyway, but yeah, man, I picked up a couple things. One thing, thanks to you guys, the Tamiya F-35C, got that a few weeks back, and man, what a great kit. I've been kind of trying to blast through it as quick as I can. There's a ton of sub assemblies before you really get going, and we can talk about that here in a little while. But picked that up. Also got some belts for just the kit seat from John Colasante at Matters of Scale. He sent those to me among a whole bunch of other little gifts. If you guys have ever gotten anything from John, he always sends a couple of gifts along. I'm not trying to put him on the spot or anything. Maybe he doesn't send it to everybody, but it seems like every time I see someone get anything from him, there's also some added free gifts in there. So, man, he's such a cool guy. So happy to use these little belts on this thing. What else have I gotten? I actually finally picked up a static grass applicator, which kind of was born from a conversation on the Triple P. I can't remember who started it, but anyway, we kind of got into it, and then I still laugh about it all the time. Every time I talk about it. It seems like Sam Dwyer pops up and he talks about riding the lightning anytime you use the static grass applicator, and I just start chuckling about it. Anyway, I haven't used it yet, but I'm excited to. I'm just trying to get better. I'm trying to get better at my bases, and I think grass is one of those things. If when it just lays over, it just doesn't look good. So this is kind of my first step. I think I'll be. I think Scott, you and I have talked about it a few times. It's not something I'm not going to be displaying any of my models without a base anymore. It just looks so much better. So going forward, that's kind of a thing that I want to do.
Yeah, context is really key, I think, in presentation with models. Other thing is just be careful. I know a lot of people that use those things and end up, getting, I mean, for you, it's not a problem, but, getting the hair to stand as straight as your grass.
I have gotten zapped a few. I made one out of like a bug zapper, the little fly swatters, the electrical fly swatters. Yeah. I found a deal on YouTube. I was like, man, I can do this, man. It hit me in the knuckle. And my knuckle was white for like 3 days. I kind of started to get a little bit worried. And so, I'm a little hesitant to really try this thing, but we'll see.
We'll
see how it works.
I've had the same problem with mine, and it's one that somebody made. I bought it.
Okay.
Maybe not the highest quality, but it's zapped me a few times. Even when I take the battery out, it's still holding a charge.
Yeah, this has to
for a little while. You got to figure out how to discharge it because, honestly, I don't think mine's very good because the grass doesn't seem to stand up anymore than if I just dumped grass on it. I don't know.
This one says you have to take you clamp the little alligator clip to a pin or something in your glue. This says you're actually supposed to take that alligator clip and clip it to the screen of the applicator, which I'm sure will then shock you. But anyway, I'm looking forward to it, but I'm not looking forward to it.
I'm not really getting a picture. So if you could bring that with you to, Model Fiesta and then maybe demonstrate it for us,
yes.
I think that would be great. That would really help me understand really what's going on.
I'll have you sit nice and close and just put your arm on mine as I do it, and we'll see if I can't pass the shock along.
Oh man, Justin's all, hey, will you hold this? hold my beer. Check this out. All that grass is going to just stand up. Don't be chewing gum when that happens. So yeah. All right. For myself, we had our amps. We kind of have a swap and sell kind of a thing, and so we did that the other night and took a bunch of kits and sold and trade. And I guess the big things, I bought a pistol grip Iwata airbrush from a buddy to try that. I'm an old man, and sometimes my hands get a little painful after I've been using the airbrush for a few hours. So I thought I'd try the pistol grip, see if that works any better. Then I picked up a Tamiya BT7. I had a set of metal tracks that JB scored for me. He knows I love Frual tracks. So most people buy the Tamiya kit and then buy the tracks for it. I guess I do it the other way around. And then I got a bunch of paints and figures. I got a couple Alpine miniatures, US tankers, and then some Warriors GIs that I'm going to add to my collection of trying to paint figure pile. So that's really good. And then this morning, just by way of a little free announcement, if any of you have a little bit of disposable cash, you might want to check out the Andy's Black Friday sale video, which dropped today. And he's trying to clear the warehouse out for a move, and there's some pretty spectacular deals to be had. So if anybody's looking for some acquisitions, that might be a good place to start.
Anybody's looking for TACM kits, he's got some fantastic deals on TACM tanks and all kinds of stuff. So you just get over there. DOS work also, all kinds of great stuff, everything.
Yeah, I had that 16th scale Greyhound, I think $89 or something. I mean, just anyway, really, really great deals on that.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
The Plastic Posse podcast is sponsored by Tankcraft, makers of the highest quality cutting mats for your workbench. Tankcraft cutting mats are heavy-duty, self-healing, come in 2 awesome sizes, and have World War II tanks and aircraft blueprint-style drawings on them. Spread out your next build on an olive green M4 Sherman or a Dunkelgelb King Tiger. They've got aircraft too. Check out all the designs and range of unique modelling tools at tankcraft.com. That's TANKRAFT.com. And remember, Plastic Posse podcast listeners can use the code POSSE15 to get 15% off your first order.
Well, let's move from acquisitions to maybe what people have been working on. Let's kick it over to Justin to start us out. I mean, you mentioned the F-35 Charlie.
Yep, that's really all I've been working on. Whenever I got that in the mail, I literally cleared the bench kind of with a big swipe, knocked all the stuff off of the bench and jumped right in on that. I had the F-35A, and I never could open it and pull the trigger because all I really wanted to do was a C. I was able to visiting a buddy of mine, Scott Samo. Some of you guys know him from the Model Geeks. I spent a little bit of time with him up at Pax River, and he was able to get me cleared to go actually see the F-35C in the hangar. This was quite a few years back, and so I mean, dude, I was just in awe to be able to sit there and watch it. I don't know if I've told the story before, but I thought it was hilarious. He calls. He's like, "Hey man, I need your social security number, and can I also have your driver's license number?" I was like, "What is going on here?" He's like, "Dude, just trust me." And I've known him forever, so I was like, "Okay, let's see what's going on here." Anyway, so that's how he got me in. Somehow or another, got me cleared, and so I've been excited about a 35C for a long time. I tried building the Kitty Hawk kit. Dude, that thing was just garbage, just absolute garbage, warped. I mean, I've heard some people will get the kit and it's not warped. Mine was warped like a banana on top. Very similar. It has like a top fuselage piece and just totally warped. I mean, I have pictures, and I'll see if I can find them, just of like those, massive rubber bands trying to squash everything together. And I absolutely failed. Very rarely do I throw a kit away, but that one went in the trash. And anyway, so whenever I heard that Tamiya was coming out with one, I sold my A, wasn't worried about it anymore, and was just kind of waiting for the C. And then again, I appreciate the kindness on y'all's part sending me that, and have jumped into it. And like I said, a lot of little sub-assemblies. It kind of takes a little bit of time to really, really get going. I did, much to the chagrin of Steve Baker, I did skip the weapons bay and I closed it all up. I ain't got time for that. I'm not a weapons bay guy anyway. And then also, like, it's literally like the whole middle section of the instruction manual is assemble the weapons bay, paint this, paint that, And so I figured I could save a lot of time by just closing that up. And I tell you what, it's beautiful. I know y'all may be able to see this on the camera, but like, you almost can't even tell where the inserts are. It's beautiful. Going forward, I've just got a few more things to do. There's a couple of little panel lines here and there that need to be filled, and mainly on the control surfaces. But then after that, it's painting time. So I'm getting close. I'm really trying to have it done by Model Fiesta. I think I've got about 6 weeks, maybe 6 weeks till then. So I'm going to try to have it done by then. Other than that, I really am. I'm not working on anything. I have a couple of Warhammer orcs that I've been kind of picking at just to kind of distract myself from. I don't know. I'm not really distracting myself from this because it's a beautiful kit, but just every once in a while, just a quick change up. So that is what I'm working on. Hey, and I did want to mention, I don't know if he's posted it yet, but I need to get him to get my buddy Gabe Pincelli. Actually did finish that Kitty Hawk F-35C. And so I think he actually made the sacrifice to the modeling gods that got us the Tamiya F-35C. So the Kitty Hawk, it's done. I'll see if I can't get him to post pictures. He rarely does, but I'll see if I can. It's really nice, and it's done up in one of the early schemes. And so again, thanks Gabe for taking one for the team, buddy.
Yeah, I think if you finish one of those Kitty Hawk Charlies, I think you get a medal of some kind. Or at least you should. So. Yeah,
I think so too, because that thing was. And he even told me, he said it's the worst kit he's ever built, and he's built some dogs. So,
oh wow. Well, feel bad we kind of elbowed that Arma Hurricane you were working on out of the way, but you're doing good work on that F-35C, and we want to thank the good folks over at Tamiya USA for supplying that, and you're really doing a great job on that build. So really appreciate that. Let's go over to TJ. TJ, what have you been working on?
Here recently, I finished Meng's M4A376 kit. It was pretty good. I really liked it. I've probably talked about it before because I've been building it for a little while since I got back from the SMC. It's ready for primer. I just haven't felt like priming it. So I kind of put it to the side. I got a little scene planned out for it, but I decided to get back on my Edward MiG-21R, and that's all pretty much. Yeah, it's pretty much ready. for primer and some checks of the seams. There's not a lot of seams on the kit. Really, it's just the wings and the wing roots. I already took care of the fairing where the wing meets the side of the fuselage because it's like really engineered with like 3 pieces that meet at like a really odd angle. It's a pain in so that I think is already done, and just got to double check the leading edges of the wings, and the spine I think is okay, because the version I did has a 2-part spine. Some of them have a 1-part spine that goes over the top fuselage seam, which is really nice because it goes from from the front to the back, and then you only have like a little bit of seam on the nose on the top and the bottom. I put all of the photo etch panels on it. I did that because there's on the bottom side, there's this square or this rectangle panel with a circle cut out in the top of it that is another panel. And I obliterated that when I sanded it. And I don't like scribing circles. I don't like scribing any shape, but I really don't like scribing circles.
Amen,
So,
brother.
To
Amen.
save myself some headache, I bought the photo etch panel set. And they actually look pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. Ian was worried that they would stand a little proud, but I've seen multiple real MiG-21s, and they are not smooth. You can see that because they're access panels. You can see the access panels on them, especially if they've been taken out and put back in. And so I'm not too worried about it. And if it doesn't look that good, it doesn't look that good. I mean, who cares? I don't really care. But yeah, that's ready. I put the pylons on last night. I was working on the drop tanks. Drop tanks are a pain because I have raised welds, I guess, and you got to sand them and try not to destroy the weld. So I got one of those done. I got to do the other one. Then once I do that, it's pretty much ready. I got to build the landing gear, and I'll probably build that and then set it aside so I can paint it the doors at the same time as I paint the body. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I've been working on a jet. It's been pretty fun. I love the MiG-21. It's my favorite jet. So yeah, I guess I'm an airplane guy now.
Yes, I like that we can bond over the MiG-21. TJ and I don't have a lot to talk about, but when he starts busting out a MiG-21, I'm like, yes, it's my favorite too. So it's cool. I'm excited to see what those panels look like under some primer and then some paint. Man, that's going to be cool.
Yeah, I mean they're pretty thin. They're really, really thin, so I'm not too worried about it. And I made sure that I got all of the edges really glued down really well. Yeah, the only thing that sucks is you kind of like lose the panel line there for a panel line wash.
For washes, yeah.
But since they are panels and they are access panels, they're probably going to be dirty around a lot of them at least. For accessing avionics and all that other stuff. Because apparently, I think like on the tail, there's a lot of stuff in that tail because one side has a bunch of panels, the other side does not. So I'm assuming all the access is taken from the I don't know what that is. Port? No, sorry. Whatever the left side is, I can never remember.
Port.
Oh, I got it right the first time.
Good job. He's a plain guy. Look at this guy. What?
Yeah.
Hey, what scheme are you doing? You doing like a crazy camouflage scheme?
Yeah, I'm doing the that weird Cuban scheme.
Oh yeah, the blue. Yes, that's such an awesome.
We'll see.
Such an awesome scheme.
I'm assuming that's an operational scheme. I guess I don't know because I've maybe seen one picture of a MiG-21 flying in that scheme, but most of the time they're just sitting on the ground. So you can tell that they're like static displays. So what I'm going to assume it's an operational scheme. I think they still fly them. I don't know.
They did have the BIS. The BIS was in that, or the BIS. I always call it the BIS, but the BIS was in that scheme. I did one of those a while back. I think those are the ones. Maybe one of those was the ones that defected, and apparently they're just falling apart, like literally rusting. I mean, I don't think aluminum rusts, but the parts that could rust are rusting. And apparently, after it landed in Florida, like the guys were like, these things are literally falling apart. So you could probably go to town on that.
That's never what you want to hear on your supersonic airplane.
No.
Yeah, that corrosion is no problem. No problem.
Man, it's been really fun. Oh God, I love the MiG-21. That kit's really good too. At least I think so. I mean, limited experience in in building airplanes, but it's my first jet, so we'll see. I got a couple more. I have the BIS, but the nose is not right
Yeah.
on Edward's BIS, and there's a resin upgrade for it, but it looks like it's out of production. So if I could find one, I mean, I don't really care, but I do kind of care because the BIS does have that really sweet, like bulked out intake and nose.
Mhm.
I might build that one next, but I also have an MF or an SMT. I can't remember which one it is, which boxing.
Yeah, John Bryan did is it Cold War Studios who did that nose?
Yeah.
He did one of those, and it really does make a difference.
TJ, you were looking at some Century series, weren't you? Maybe going to build one of those?
I was, yeah. Justin actually tagged me. A guy named Winston who doesn't actually live too far from me. He lives down in Fredericksburg. He's part of that Fredericksburg AMPS group. He's always selling kits and buying kits. I've sold him some stuff, and he has I guess it's a trumpeter. Yeah, F100D. I love the F100, and the D variant I think is the coolest one. I think it's like the definitive F100. So
Is that a metal one or like a Southeast Asia kind of?
both.
Both? Okay.
Yeah, I would do it in C camo just because C camo is awesome.
It is
So
very cool.
I have an F104C that I'm also going to do in C camo because yeah, I love Cold War jets. They're the best, the absolute best. And the F100, that thing is damn sexy. I love that thing.
I'm actually kind of in that same camp. I don't really love Century Series aircraft, but there's something about the F100 that I've always kind of liked.
Me, it's the F100 and the F104. Those are the two. I could take or leave the rest of them. But the F100 and the F104. Oh, man, I love the F104. I think so cool. Friggin' supersonic lawn dart.
Posse plane talk. The geeks are going to serve us some kind of a cease and desist letter.
Okay. Here's the thing. This is what I was. So I hung out with Adrian Davies the other day in Flip and Herman from Belgium. They were over here. They came down to the DC area. We hung out and we were walking around the Udvar Hazy Center, and we were talking about models. And I told Adrian, I was like, I don't know if a lot of people know this about me, maybe because I think I might have mentioned it, but I'm an airplane guy first. Like I grew up obsessed with airplanes and jets, and P-51 Mustang is my favorite airplane of all time. That's why I owned a Mustang car at one point. Like, that's what I really, really like. I just build tanks because I like building tanks more than I like building airplanes. And I like tanks, obviously. I really have grown into that over the years. But, like, for most of my life, it's been, like, airplanes. Always airplanes. I watched Top Gun and when I was a kid and all the other, what was that one with the helicopter?
Blue Thunder.
Yeah, Blue Thunder.
Yeah,
and like all
cool.
that's like I watched all that shit when I was a kid. Like I love all of that stuff, and airplanes are awesome. But yeah, as far as building models of them go, I don't prefer that as much as building armor.
Nah, that's really cool. I liked your pictures from Smithsonian. You got some really, really good shots of a couple things over there. So
Yeah. If anyone has the opportunity to go to the Udvar Hazy Center, it's pretty fantastic. It's only gotten better. I hadn't been there in probably a decade, maybe even longer. I can't remember. It was for a Halloween event when my kids were little. That's the last time I went, and I have two teenagers now. So,
wow.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And in the back they had Flak Bait was back there. I think they might put it back together. I don't think they're not going to restore it, from my understanding. They're going to preserve it, which is the way it should be. And then the IL-2 was there. That was ready. It was on its wheels. It's been freshly painted, and then there's FW-190 that's being worked on. It was stripped down to pretty much aluminum. I think maybe may have started painting some of it. So those are the big projects in the back there.
I was impressed with your shot of Flak Bay because it's clear that they're taking great pains to make sure that they don't affect the paint job, that they just preserve it. Like you said, it's not a restoration like those other aircraft. It's just preserving what's there.
Yeah, and that's like we kind of talked about that, Adrian and I, because it used to be in DC, and then in the National Air and Space Museum in DC on the mall, and it was, you could walk up to it, right? So like on the nose on the port side, there's a bunch of paint missing, and that was from people touching it when they walked past it. And we were kind of talking like that's one of those things. Should they preserve that or not? Because do you want it to look exactly the way it was when they boxed it up in 1946 or whenever or 47, whenever it was finally retired, or keep it that way because that is part of its story, right? Like it's
Yep.
that way because of what it is, because of the 205 whatever missions it flew, and it flew more missions than any other American bomber. Never lost a member of the crew, even though it got shot a million times. So yeah, me personally, I would leave it because that is part of the story of the airplane. So, but yeah, it was pretty cool.
Leave it.
The other thing they have there that I really liked is it's like a cauldron. I can't remember what the number, what the rest of the nomenclature was, but it's a World War I bomber, like one of the smaller ones, and it's like one of like 2 or 3 World War I airplanes that are still exactly the way they were in like 1917 or 16, whenever we got it. It was sent to us by the British to train with. They flew it around, they crated it up, and it stayed there for decades. And then eventually they were like, oh, let's uncrate this. And everything is like 100% original. There's been no repaints, nothing. And it's really cool to see that in its natural state, more or less. Like restorations are cool, don't get me wrong. I like seeing stuff that's been restored, but yeah, seeing original stuff like that, and it's in great shape.
That's very cool. Man, I'd love to see that sometime. Well, speaking of airplanes, Doug, what have you been up to? What have you been working on?
Well, airplanes, no. Actually, the little bit of work I've been getting done has been on those facades. That facade I'm working on, just experimenting mostly and starting to work with that carving foam to make one. I kind of am doing a hybrid. I found pictures of different things that I liked, and I'm just combining them to make one building. I designed it, and I have cut out doors and windows. So I need to start adding more detail to it. Brick. You got to carve the brick. There's going to be concrete parts. There's going to be framing, of course, around the windows and doors that I need to work into it. It's going to be work that I've never done. Most of this is all new to me, so it'll be a lot of fun, and maybe it'll look, as an approximation of what I want when I'm done. That's been my work for the last little while. I have picked out a couple models that I want to work on, but that's for the future.
Somewhere in Slovakia, you just made Martin smile, so that's a good thing. Grant, what have you been working on? I'm assuming maybe some 1/200 scale. I think in your words, so-called stealth fighters.
1/700 scale film. No, I've actually been working on the Tamiya 911. The Tamiya definitely gave it, or thankfully gave us kits coming out in late December.
Oh yeah, the 992 GT3.
The 911 R3. I actually got to go down and see one in their local Porsche dealership here in Los Angeles, and took a couple pictures of it. And I think they don't have all the. It's basically a stripped down version of that one they had there, which was really kind of cool looking.
You didn't bring it home?
Yeah. No, I want to be able to, afford a life. Yeah, I saw that price tag and walked away. Yeah, that's pretty interesting. It's a really cool car. It's Tamiya, so it falls together. I've got the entire interior done. It's sitting out now. I'm not really used to building in sections like this. So it's kind of a new thing for me, which is fun though. It's an interesting build. It's the quality of the kit, like I said, is Tamiya. It's probably the same thing as the F-35C. It just falls together. It's everything's straight. Everything's really nice. It gives you everything you need in the kit to make a really, really great kit out of the box. And it's like $30, 30 some odd dollars. I think, I can't remember the exact price, but it's such a worthwhile kit when it comes out. And if you're a car builder, I say definitely get it. There's room I've already started seeing manufacturers talking about adding different rims and lowering it, and all the stuff that they can do for it. And the paints and stuff they're fantastic. I'm using the Tamiya lacquers on it. That's the first time I've used the Tamiya lacquer paints. They're really nice. I'm not very much of a lacquer guy. So it's like I said, the first time using it, and I don't, it's not going to be super shiny like everybody, I don't have the time to, do 14 coats and then, sand out and prime out each one. But it's a really nice kit. The kit is beautiful. It gives you, like I said, everything you need. You can't say enough about the quality of the kit. I've also been working on a couple of figures, Warhammer figures. Games Workshop has come out with a Sanguinian Guard, which is part of the Blood Angels army. They were guards for Sanguinius, of course, but they changed the back of them a little bit on the new ones, which they kind of look really in my opinion, and this is only between me, is they changed the wings out. They put these little tiny wings that are on the jump packs, and they look real stupid in my opinion. So I grabbed some other wings from another kit and grafted them onto the pack, changed the pack around on the back, and I want to trying to work on non-metallic metal, so gold. Been working on that. I got some not AK paints, but I got a hold of Squidmar has got a pack of for non-metallic metal. I'm going to try those, and they're Vallejo paint, so it's an interesting change. So other than that, those two things, I have not really been doing too much, just working on 2 or 3 figures in the Scar. That's about it.
The opinion on the size of the wings on those figures is Grant Mayberry's own. It is not the official opinion of the plastic.
Well, I don't want Games Workshop, which has a very strict and very lethal lawyers that work for them, to come after us. So they can come after me, but they won't come after the podcast. So
yeah, it's all good. You guys see that latest Squidmar video that the paintbrushes that are kind of the core of their business, that they're having trouble bringing those into the U.S.
The Kolinsky brushes. Yeah. That's it's Wildlife and Game got on them because if you have a chance to listen to the video, it talks about how these brushes are usually from China and Russia because they come from the mink of an animal, and they grow them for this. They're not an endangered species. They're nothing like that. And this is a lot of companies use these same kind of animals for their brushes. Well, it seems that there was a company in India that was using another animal's fur for their brushes, but they were marking it as Kolinsky, and they got in trouble for it. So the United States Wildlife and Game Association now associates everything with that India company. So basically,
mongoose.
Mongoose. Yeah, it was a mongoose, and they put a hold. There's a major paperwork requirement for the dealer and the person that is receiving them right now. So they basically Squidmar stopped selling their brushes to the United States. Now, I haven't heard anything from any of the other brushes companies that are selling, but Series 7s use them. Same kind. So I don't know. I haven't heard anything, and they're still available because I just bought some a couple days ago. So it's interesting. We'll see what happens with that. That's going to be an interesting little change, and they probably are going to have to end up getting a U.S. company to sponsor, be their outlet basically, and they can do the paperwork between the outlet and Squidmar, and then we don't have to do the paperwork.
Yeah, hopefully they get it figured out. It seemed like a good bunch of people. So
yeah.
Like a lot of you guys, I've been working on some Tamiya stuff. I had picked up the I think it's a 2021 release of the Kettenkrad, and the vehicle was wonderful to build. It's all built and primed, but I opened it back up and grabbed the 3 figures out of it, and have been putting those together to paint. And it's amazing. One of them's a driver figure. He's seated in the vehicle, and I was a little worried about with most figures, you kind of worry about how they're going to fit on the vehicle because he's got two hands on the handlebars, and predictably, it's to me, I put it together and just kind of set it on the tractor, and I mean, it just absolutely fits flawlessly. First shot, no adjustments needed. So working on those, I'll get those primed and again start painting those. But that's for the most part what I've been working on. Anyway, well, let's kick it over to Justin. Justin, you know the drill. You've been on here a few times. Take us through the Plastic Posse models.
Yeah, man. Yeah, let's kick it over to Grant. Let's talk about maybe something you've seen on the Plastic Posse Facebook page.
Thanks, Justin. I want to call out Logan Junior Babbitt, whatever. Sorry if I misspelled your name or said your name. He's working on the TACM ABSD, the floating dry dock, which is a very large kit in 1/350th scale. I've actually got the kit too myself, and it's big, but he's doing a great job on it. He's actually using a lot of 3D printed parts that he's getting from other things. I believe it's Black Cat is one of them. He just got a big shipment in from them. The PE work he's done has been fantastic. He showed some chains and some anchors that he's using on it. And I really can't, it's a long build, and he's been doing it for a while now, but some of those updates have just been beautiful. So that's my choice for today.
Nice. TJ, what'd you see, man?
I'm going to pick Andy Golden's little German soldier vignette. He had it at MMSI, and dude, this Andy Golden, his work's awesome. Andy's a cool guy, so yeah, it's pretty freaking good.
That's pretty awesome. I love the base and the vertical elements of that too. And like you said, Andy's work is fantastic.
He's one of the guys that makes me want to build armor, along with most of you guys too.
Yeah, he's really good.
Well, I'll jump in real quick, and I'll John Bryan finished is it Trumpeter MI4 helicopter. I think every single time I've been on the Posse, I've called him out. And I just kind of feel like there's a little bromance there or something. I don't know. But I don't know. It seems like every time I'm on, he's just finished something. And man, his stuff's just so cool. And he did such a good job, like on the clear parts. I think he was robbing pieces out of other kits so that he could get the exact version he wanted. And so I think he did a great job as usual. I don't know if you saw like the close up of the rotor head. I thought it looked really neat. He even said it kind of looked kind of Warhammerish. I was like, man, it sure does. Just really.
I love his tenacity. I mean, I think if you use the word stubbornness, it might not necessarily be a positive thing. But John is just his ability to work on one thing at a time and not be beaten by it. I've just always admired that, and he does great work.
Like powers through clear parts, man. Clear parts will make me set a model aside. I think that's how he keeps from having a shelf of doom for the most part. He just powers through it. He just figures it out and he gets it done. And in the end, it looks good. So yeah, I thought that's my choice. If y'all haven't seen that, get on there and check it out. All right, Doug.
Well, this is looks like a new work in progress from our friend John Everett. And I have to shout out his Star Wars bus. So what the Star Wars bus is the flying bus that you see in Andor on the planet Ferrix. Luthen Rail takes that from his. I mean, he uses it to come into the town where Andor lives, and it's kind of a simple thing, but he's recreated the interior already. He's already noticed that the interior, just like so many Star Wars things, doesn't quite fit inside the exterior that they design. So he's fiddling with that, but I really like what he's doing. I love the fact that he's taking this approach to even make something like this, that honestly there's not that many people in the world that would even think I want to build that, but John's one of those guys, and I think it's rad. I'm really excited to see where this one goes.
Yeah, he's so, like, I see it and I'm just like, only he would do this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Only he would do this. And I saw it, and I didn't even have to see whose name it was, and I already knew who was building it. It's just like, yep, I know who that is.
I'm gonna use that tenacity word again too. He just decided, I'm gonna do it, and then he had to figure out the scale, and he just starts, drawing it up in CAD and printing it out, and oh yeah, this isn't working. Well, I'll just do it this way. And yeah, I got to see that in process at High Plains when we were over there in Colorado a couple weekends back. So
Keep
great
going,
job,
Scott.
Jen. All right, yeah. For me, I'm going to call out our buddy Ken Childress. He built a Comet, and he's put like a non-traditional, I guess I maybe call a what if on it, right? But a cruiser tank camouflage on his Comet, and it looks really cool. I think. I don't know, TJ, what you think. I know you're a big cruiser fan tank like I am, but I really, really like the way it makes the Comet looks. I think it makes the lines a little more interesting.
Oh yeah, and it's a what if scheme. Just like it was originally going to be like a 1946 scheme with like the invasion of Japan, that sort of thing. Imagine it'd be like an allied ground invasion. But now I think he kind of went with like a what if desert scheme if the North African theater had extended into like 1944. So that's what he's based it on. Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah,
He just posted this morning, didn't he? Maybe posted some of the chipping he's done and whatnot. Really cool. Another
the
guy
chipping
who makes me
looks
want to
great.
build.
Yeah.
Armor.
Yeah, Ken's fantastic. Really, really like that. All right. Well, thanks, Justin. Thanks, everybody. If any of the listeners out there, if you are doing your work and you want some feedback on it or just want to share your work, please post it to our Plastic Posse Facebook group. We've got thousands and thousands of members. It's a good community. Very I think positive, and there's a lot of really great work that we get to see every day. So go there and check it out if you haven't already. I'm going to just do a really, really quick kind of wrap up for the year. I think what the plan is for the podcast moving forward is we always take a holiday break, and we're going to go ahead and do that again this year. It has been insane. But one of the things we have still left on the table between travel and everything else is wrapping up the group build. We're still going to do that. So I would say keep your eyes on the social media pages, but we'll probably do one more episode before the end of the year. We'll get together with those guys and talk about the group build, wrap that up. And we've started distributing the coins and the poker chips in person. And we've also, we sent a bunch to Australia. We'll get them out to you. So please be patient, but it's going to be a fun episode. Just to remind everybody, we're going to talk to Rick Lawler. We're going to talk to Uncle Night Shift, Adam Wilder, and Spud. We're also going to talk with Chris Sieber and Sam Dwyer. They're all going to be picking favorites. And then we're going to pick some of our own favorites. We're going to send people some sort of over and above prizes for that. But again, appreciate everybody that participated. It was awesome. And appreciate your patience. We've had some curveballs to deal with, and we'll get it done. So anyway, that's the plan. Look for one more kind of probably longish episode in early to mid December, and then we'll take a bit of break over the holidays.
Rick Lawler also.
Did I say Rick? Okay, yeah, Rick Lawler. Sorry, Rick. Sorry, man. I was just talking to him yesterday. So all right, well, let's get into a discussion topic. I'm going to kick that over to TJ to lead that, but yeah, let's have a discussion.
So this was a topic I think Scott came up with. I'm not entirely sure, and I thought it was a pretty good one. And it's what's something each of us has learned over 2024 that's made your modeling different and hopefully better. Like a skill or just a perspective or anything. How you see the hobby or how you enjoy the hobby, and I'm going to go ahead and start with Mr. Mayberry here.
Okay, what's something that I've done, a scheme or something that I found? I think there's been a couple things that I tried to pick up that I've been working on. I'll just say a work in progress. A non-metallic metal has always been very elusive to me for painting. And that's, if you don't know what non-metallic metal painting is, it's just taking colors and making them look like metals, gold, silver, bronze, all that kind of stuff. So I've been working on that. And I think that's something that I hope to keep working on more and more and more and learning from it. What's something that that's helped me with the hobby this year is, I think one of the biggest things is just not, it's not about, it's for me, the hobby is something TJ has always said, is that, you get better by doing it. And I think that I've been doing it a hobby more and I want to do it more. And that's kind of opened my eyes to, seeing the hobby in a different way as more of art and more of a passion. I think that's the big thing I picked up from this year, is that it's not about putting your stuff on a table and walking away with something. It's more about, expressing yourself and getting better at what you do personally. And if people like it, they like it. They don't, they don't. And just accepting that and, moving forward. So I think that's been my big thing this year.
Yeah, non-metallic metal. That's it's one of those things. It's not that it's hard.
Yeah.
Because it's not hard, especially now with the style is way more textured than than it used to be. Now, if you try to do super super smooth, non-metallic metal, that I think is really hard. But this whole textured look, because that's how I've done it, because that's one of the things I learned how to do this year. Yeah, and I kind of went with that textured look that's really popular with miniature painting.
Right.
The technique isn't that hard, but what I found, at least, trying to find where to place your bright spots and your dark spots, because it's not you thinking about how light reflects off of a metallic object isn't always easy, and it's not necessarily intuitive, because light does weird things, and metal, shiny metal, does weird things, and the shape of the object and where the light's coming from, and it's like some stuff, you wouldn't necessarily think would be bright, but they are bright just because of the shape. It's a whole. I mean, I'm talking about my level of non-metallic metals, which is down here, and up here is like the really really good people. But that's cool.
Yeah. What about that's the same thing. Is I have such a problem trying to figure out where exactly the bright parts are. You think about an orb, and you think about how light hits an orb on the top of the sides and a little bit on the back sometimes. So it's just trying to get that whole idea onto a figure. The texture that's what I'm definitely doing, because I think it's, like you said, it's not the actual painting. It's just the kind of process into the painting that is more hard for me. So.
Yeah, once you master that, then you have to learn secondary reflections.
Yeah. I don't even want to go there yet.
That's where your head starts to spin.
Yeah.
Worrying about secondary reflections and bringing in different colors and atmospheric lights and all this. Yeah. But what about you, Scott?
I think that
I know what you learned. You learned you're a friggin' gold medal modeler. That's what you learned.
Yeah,
like a SMC master over here.
I have been really fortunate to see a lot of incredible work from all of you guys on this call and the shows that I've been to. And the way that I see models and everything is, I used to be like, okay, I want to build this Panther, Aus G 1942. And that was the build. Like, that was the plan, right? I'm going to build this model. And again, I'm not denigrating that to anybody, but the way that I see it now is the model is sort of a means to an end. It's like, what's the context? The figures, the basing, the way that you present it, the story that you tell. I just see it differently. I don't want to just put my BF 109 on the table on a piece of paper. I want to put that in some kind of context. And I really think this year, especially, just, the idea of taking a model to a show without a base and everything, for me only, is just something that I just see differently. And I think really for me that's the biggest change. And I think it's made it positive. It certainly has made me uncomfortable in a good way. I finally have, at 55 years old, decided to get the courage to actually try and paint some faces and paint some figures. I've never done it. I've been a chicken, frankly. I've been building models like most of us since I was a teenager, and I just haven't ever wanted to do it. But I'm doing it now. I'm trying it, and I think I just think I think the model kits themselves are more of a component than they're more of a garnish than the main course, the way that I see it. I don't know what you guys think about that, but I definitely think my paradigm has shifted this year in that direction.
Yeah, I would agree. And I guess that's kind of what I was touching on earlier. Like, as far as a base goes, like it's something new again to me as well. And I think, Scott, you and I have talked about it, a few times. Some of these models that I've already finished, going back and kind of maybe building some stuff around it, like the little Volksjager, going back and maybe putting say like a step ladder and like, your typical, I don't know, your broken down fuel drums and just some other little stuff or whatever, some little critter like a cat. I think we talked about a bunny, but I don't think the bunny would have probably lasted very long in the late war Germany. He probably would have been somebody's next meal, but some sort of a little, some sort of a setting for the model. And again, just getting better at basis. I think, yeah, that's I'm right there with you.
What about you, Doug?
Okay, well, I figured out that I can take a lot of different techniques that I've never tried before. I can take things that I've not done and just do it. I'm not saying I will do it great, but I can try new things and I can definitely improve. The example I would use is for the posse group build, I did that Nashorn and I did it in a winter whitewash camo scheme, and I really enjoyed it. And I look at it, and while it's not flawless, it certainly, to me, it looks pretty good. And so I was really happy with that. And that's what led me to ask for input. Hey, what should I try next? And that's why I'm doing a facade now. And thanks to TJ for that idea. And I was also had something reinforced to me as just how important it is that we share our hobby with as many people as we can, just for so many different reasons. But there's people out there that I don't think know how great this can be. I have our IT guy at work. He was in doing some work in our office, and we were talking, and it turns out he builds models. He does a lot of Warhammer, but he also has some ships, and he has some old monogram like the B-17, 48 scale B-17, and he knows what a struggle it is. So I had picked up for almost nothing a Messerschmitt 109E from Tamiya in 48 scale at a model show. And I gave it to him. I brought it in. I said, hey, I've got something for you. And I gave it to him. He was shocked, and because he's heard of Tamiya, he's just never built one. And I think he's going to enjoy it. And there you go. There's another person that we might have as that will really want to pursue this maybe a little more as he learns just what's out there and how rewarding it can be. I'm also going to have to show him how to use an airbrush.
Justin, what about you?
I think one of the biggest things that I've been painting little minis, Warhammer minis and stuff. I don't know. We moved houses in 2021, I guess. And so I guess I've been kind of at it for about 3 years now. It was kind of the thing that I did while we were moving, so I could actually have something to do. I didn't want to be, I think we were out of the house for about a month and a half. And I knew that, I don't know, some of these guys I see on the posse talking about how, it's going to be 3 or 4 months till I can get back to the bench. It's like, oh my gosh, that would drive me crazy. So it's kind of it was nice to have something to kind of distract me. And I kind of learned a new skill. And I think over this year, I've realized that those hard skills, like just learning how to paint with a brush and learning how to make smooth, make it look nice and smooth. And it's really done a number on my airplane modeling, especially cockpits and stuff like that, where I used to have to go and mask off individual panels and spray, spend 35 minutes masking for 13 seconds worth of spraying. Like I've realized that if I just get my magnifiers on, since my eyes are finally starting to kind of go a little bit, 46, they finally are starting to turn a little bit. So get my magnifiers on and get a decent brush and some nice thin down paint. And I can pretty much make it look exactly like if I sat there and masked everything off. It's an incredible skill. I mean, it really, again, on some of the wheel wells and stuff like that, on this F-35, like I just jumped right in and just painted them. You've got all kinds of different colors that you're having to deal with, and it's quick and easy, and you're done. And I mean, on top of learning how to paint, minis, I mean, I'm definitely not going to be jumping on any non-metallic metal stuff anytime soon. But I do feel like it is a skill. So that's something that I would recommend anybody. Just grab some Warhammer dudes and start painting. And then another thing, I guess more of an outlook on the hobby in general. just with the group build we did, and then also with our little March Madness group build that we do every year. Like I've realized, like it doesn't have to take 6 months to finish a model. Like you can finish one quickly, and it's going to look pretty dang good. And there might be a thing here or there that may throw you off. And I mean, if you need that 6 months and that's what you do, that's cool. Again, for me, I've learned that building something quickly can be just as rewarding, if not more rewarding, to get it done. Again, we were talking about John Bryan earlier about how he just if there's something that's going to be difficult, just push through it, and you'll be amazed at what it will look like in the end. You know, most of the time it's as good or better than if you would have just sat there and stared at it, put it away on the shelf for 2 years and then come back to it later. I think that just building and just persevering and pushing through really makes a huge difference. It's so fun to share our work too, when we're done, and have people, be able to talk to people about it. So the more I can do that, the more I can finish. I think going forward, it's really rewarding. So
that's a great point. I am really, really good. I'm like a gold medal winning guy that takes molehills and turns them into mountains.
Yes.
That's like my modeling superpower. I am so good at that. I rock at that.
I'm pretty good at that. I'm trying to get better. I really am trying. Well, I'm not trying to get better at that. I'm trying to get worse at that. Let's turn the molehills into mountains. Wait, the mountains into molehills. How do you go backwards on that? Anyway, either way, yeah, it's just let's move quicker through projects and just enjoy it, man. Just enjoy the build rather than stressing about it. And I think everything will be a lot better off. My brain will anyway.
All right. See, I'm kind of the opposite. That's the one thing that I've learned about myself and in my modeling this year is just to slow down. And yeah, I guess I kind of had a reputation for building a lot in a short amount of time, and I kind of did. But this year, I've really, really slowed down. This is like the lowest output I've had, I think, since I started modeling. So 12 years. I finished 7 projects. 2 of them were figures that were like weekend projects that didn't take me that long because they're this big. And yeah, I've not done a lot, but I've worked on a lot of stuff. Most of the stuff that I did finish, like I spent a fair amount of time working on, especially my last 2 projects that I finished this year, because I probably won't finish anything before the end of the year with travel and the holidays, and maybe I might get lucky and like finish off the MiG by the end of the year, or get this M4A3 finished. But yeah, I've found more enjoyment in building. And I used to be like a painter and a finisher first, building second. You kind of hear like all the old timers like, that's all you see in the modeling magazines now is finish, which, yeah, okay, sure. Finishes are more exciting now than they were 35 years ago when these guys, thought that was the peak of model building was, all one color, then hit it with a with a dry brush of titanium white. Like, yeah, back then, yeah, building was way more important because that, the finishing techniques weren't there. Building techniques have not, you can see my cat in the background, probably getting ready to mess with something.
He's gonna knock something off.
You're gonna knock something. Hold on.
He's going after the MiG, man.
No, he's down. He's down.
He left.
You can leave all that in, Scott.
That was great.
But yeah, that's the one thing I've learned. And now I just try to make a balance of those 2 things, right? Like I used to kind of push through the build to get to the painting and the weathering because that is what I found the most fun. Now I find both things equally fun, just for different reasons. Man, building a really well engineered kit, oh man, it is really fun. It may be because I also don't build stuff like for work anymore, so this is the only outlet I have to actually like assembling things. As with the job that I've had most of the year, I'm at a desk more often than not, or I'm driving to go talk to someone that builds things instead of actually doing it. So yeah, that's what I've learned. Just to slow down and enjoy the building.
Yeah, 7 projects. I mean, do you remember how many you did? last year, it seems like it was 2 or 3 times that. I mean, that's pretty significant.
17.
Okay. Well,
Yeah,
17.
According to my 2023 yearbook. Again, a lot of those were figures though, because in 2023 there was what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 figures.
Yeah.
Some of those are pretty large, though, aren't they? Didn't you do a couple? Didn't you do the astronaut? Did you do one of those?
Yeah, it's just a bust though. He's only like this.
Yeah, that's some work, man. That's a project.
And then also some other stuff. Like last year, I did that Y-wing. That was already built. That was legit, like a built kit from like 10 years ago. I'm like, oh, I'm going to paint this.
Yeah, TJ, I don't mean to interrupt you, but the how long did you spend on your SMC project, your Sherman? Because that was watching the build process on that was actually really cool.
I started building that in May.
Did you? Yeah, because that was. I mean, I like the way this year you kind of took real vehicles and made them. With the Sherman, that I think that's really cool when you take an actual vehicle and then you try and represent it in plastic or whatever it is. And I really like that aspect about how you went through that, and you talked about how like the ratchet straps that were on it and the coloring and the tints, and you guys went down and actually looked at the vehicle, and that was cool. I think that's something you're really really good at, and I think that's it's your eye for taking a real vehicle, and turning it down into plastic is phenomenal. So I think you did it. Yeah,
that was my longest project of the year. Yeah, that was from May up until a couple weeks before I left. I was done with enough time to spare, and I lost a couple weeks there during the build working on other crap. Just hobby ADD.
What I loved about that project is the labor of love, because you crawled all over it and took pictures of the real thing and really kind of you really documented it before you execute it. I mean, really, again, just a labor of love.
Yeah, honestly, that build and maybe like the A2 Fisher hull that I'm not done with yet. That's still whatever. I don't even know if I'm ever going to finish it because I don't like the way the weathering has turned out. Those two were like kind of paradigm shifts for me. That's the other thing that's kind of changed about how I model. I care way more about like replicating actual, prototypes now than I used to. I mean, I still love my machining Krieger and all that stuff. Don't get me wrong. I love the freedom of all that, but when it comes to like building the vehicles, I'm really have gotten it. That's what I've done with this A3. That's an actual still existing tank that I've built, just not how it looks now, how it looked 80 years ago.
All right, thanks TJ, thanks everybody. If you guys out there have thoughts on this, please share them with us. You can either send those to us at plasticpossepodcast@gmail.com, or go ahead and just share those on the Plastic Posse group. What have you learned, or how has your paradigm shifted during 2024? How's your modeling different than it was maybe a year ago? And, what new skills or techniques or just new ways of seeing things have you experienced during the last year? All right, well, let's kick it over to Grant.
A couple weeks ago or a couple days ago, me and Scott, Jensen, and myself, we all sat down, talked to Peter Davis and the Sam Dwyer about the ACT show this year. They did a few new things. They changed around. They do some really interesting stuff that we talked about. We talked about they do a complete digital sign up. They talked about how they went to gold, silver, bronze this year instead of 1, 2, 3. But the show is labeled as the nicest show in Australia, I guess you would call it. And it really sounds like a great time.
So now you're all on the record.
One of the options was leave meeting. I've never wanted to press a button more in my life. Just throw it out of here.
Yeah.
The red button.
So, listening to the On the Bench episode and kind of looking online, Peter, it sounds like you and your team, boy, I'm going to have to use, I don't know my Australian sports, but in American sports vernacular, it sounds like you really hit a home run.
Yeah, we probably, I don't know what we'd say here, Sam, hit a 6 or I don't know.
something like that. Yeah.
Something like that. It's pretty good terminology. Anyway, yeah, it was a big weekend, but and yeah, I think like the front end and Sam's was a front end user of the event. It's over. Obviously, there's always things to work on, and that's one thing that we try to do every year. Is we happily take feedback, and we push to try and fix what we can the following year, and keep trying to put on the best weekend we can for everyone that attends. So. Yeah, it was a huge weekend. Obviously implementing the whole gold, silver, bronze thing for the first time was a big thing, and it had it was things to work on there, and kind of flowed on, and we probably didn't do the presentation as good as we normally do, which was a bit of feedback about the presentation, but like I said, it's things that we'll tidy up and do better next year. But overall, we've had a fair bit of feedback come in, and it's mostly positive. So it was a really good weekend. Obviously by myself and the whole team really. So obviously it's not just me. There's a whole army of people behind me from the club that that put it on. So
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
haven't got my feedback yet. I'm kidding.
Well, we'll get that live with Sam.
Sam's emails Sam emails first thing blocked.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's start out with some nerdy stuff, and I'll handle that and get out of the way, and then I'll let Grant and Jensen ask you some fun questions. But tell us a little bit about ScaleACT 2024. Give us some kind of numbers and how you feel like the show was compared to 2023, and maybe what you see coming for 2025.
Yeah, I think overall it seemed like there was a lot more people there the whole weekend. The vibe was up, which was fantastic. So many, obviously, Australia's a big country like the US, and these weekends, sometimes it's the only time you see each other all year or whatever. So it was, great to catch up. It was a huge group of people catching up throughout the weekend, Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night. There was just it was a really good vibe, which is what we're striving to to be like, which is to be fun and have a good weekend. But yeah, like I said, 30 nerdy stats and stuff. We had a total of 221 entrants. That we had 806 registered models, but we don't always get them on the day. So that close off time was 786.
Plus that dude that turned up at like 2:30 with a box full of models and you had to turn it away.
So it was 286 once judging went underway. What do we have? 155 non-ACT SMS members, and 66 ACT SMS members. We had 10 juniors, brought 34 models, which is fantastic. The best Ford Mustang, which is a car category we ran this year, we had 20 in that. Kitty Hawk Cup and a couple other special subjects we do, which is Kitty Hawk Cup was the Edward Zero this year. We had 10. And the Sentinel Shield, which was the 10-meter Abrams in 148, which we had 7. So, and then we had 41 for the Royal Australian Air Force special category, and 126 which were eligible for the Commonwealth Cup. Plenty of Commonwealth patriotism being shown there as well, which is fantastic, isn't it?
Awesome. I also heard that the venues seem to be a big hit. You guys have changed venues, and it seems like there were a lot of compliments for the lighting and for the space overall, and it seemed comfortable.
Yes, it's our second year at the venue. Obviously, last year was our first shakeout, which we learned a bit about the venue there, and then this year we same venue again, but we utilised more space by moving Swap and Sell up to another level, and the demos and stuff into their own room. So they're a bit more. We had a bit of feedback last year. There was a bit of background noise and people were trying to listen, so we moved those. We managed to move those into their own room. So that was positive, and I think looking forward to next year. I think like I said, a few things to tweak. We're going to try and streamline things in the back end for us. Use a bit more technology again, which will free us up to us and everyone involved in running the event to focus on some other stuff. So which will be good.
So how many people were on your team? And I mean, if you want to go ahead and give any shout outs, that'd be great. But how many people helped you pull this off?
Definitely. Obviously. So we got the elected committee, which is myself, which is as president, obviously. Chatted on the show before. Vice President Peter Schum, which was instrumental, he's with all the tech sort of stuff. doing the YouTubing, recording and stuff, live streaming over the weekend. And there's, I think, 2 or 3 people helping him. So, huge team effort with those guys. And they're still learning that stuff. Like I said, the videos probably aren't as polished as some of the other stuff you see on YouTube, but it's a start. And we're getting stuff out there for everyone. And then we've got a subcommittee which runs underneath us, which runs the show, which is headed by Michael Greaves, which is his 24th year being the head of ScaleACT. So next year will be his 25th year. So we'll have to do something special with him. 25 years, being the head, cat herder, so to speak. And then there's a couple under him like Len Partridge, Ray Bromwich, Tony Locker, and a few of the others that helped Mike, especially the swap and sell, which is just logistically huge. It was a big weekend for him. Putting the volunteer roster together, so we know we utilize our volunteer workforce the best we can. Just right through to everyone that comes in, obviously comes and attends the event, makes the event what it is.
The chief judge too, Pete.
Oh yeah, two chief judges. Yeah, Dave White and Craig Stanley had a huge weekend, obviously with the first time in gold, silver, bronze. So it was a big weekend for a few of us implementing something new. So yeah, it was a huge weekend really. Obviously the traders 23, I think we ended up with, so it dropped down from 27, which always happens. 23 traders, they obviously come support the event, which makes people want to come as well and, have a look and spend some money and whatever. Thoroughbred Park themselves, where we hold the event, they're a platinum sponsor. They give us a discount, which is great. And we've got plenty of other sort of platinum sponsors which help us put that weekend on as well. So it's just a huge, all-round team event really. And in community, like it doesn't happen without the your sponsors, doesn't happen without the folks entering. It doesn't happen without without all the working parts really. So.
That sounds fantastic, and I'm glad you got a chance to give those guys a shout. Putting on a show is not an easy feat. Well, I'm gonna wrap up here and ask Sam, from your perspective, what do you think of the show, and how did you enjoy it compared maybe to ScaleACTs in the past?
So obviously I'm looking at it from a user perspective, from one of the punters that actually pays his money in and enters, and it was pretty great. I think the move to gold, silver, bronze is a really positive thing, and from a user point of view, or from an attendee point of view, not a user, so it's not work. From an attendee point of view, it was pretty seamless. I think it looked to me like the right models got the right results and that sort of stuff, and the presentation, I know Pete, you touched on very briefly that you thought the presentation could have been a little bit smoother. So just to clarify, kind of all the juniors were read out and came up and got their prizes. So, and they kind of didn't participate in gold, silver, bronze. Every junior got a prize, which is terrific because it just fosters those kids. And you should have seen these kids, arms full of stuff. Like they made out like bandits, so which was awesome. And then they called up the gold medal winners, and they were all awarded their medal. And then the silvers and bronzes sort of were called out, and they collected theirs at the end at the registry table sort of thing, which to me, I think it worked just fine. It was quite seamless, and compared to other presentations, it was quick because some presos can go on for hours, and it's just the end of the weekend. Everyone's feet are just aching, and everyone just wants to go and have a beer. Pete and his team want to break the room down and go home. They're sick of everyone. So yeah, and we just wanted to go and have a beer and relax at the end of it. So to me, I thought it was really really quick and really quite seamless. So that was a credit to Pete and his teams.
That's interesting. At my show here in Utah that we put on, me and my team, called the Rocky Mountain Expo, we did the same thing with just doing the gold medal winners. We had them all come up and took a big picture. And then just, the bronzes and silvers, let them speak for themselves. It's interesting that we kind of came to the same conclusion. So anyway, Jensen, kick it over to you.
Cheers. So one thing I wanted to talk about was the gold, silver, bronze system. You said it was the first year implementing that. And a lot of us are experienced with the 1, 2, 3 system, and like Sam said, very long award ceremonies. With it being the first year implementing this, how efficient do you think that was? Like the team sizes, because I know a big criticism gold, silver, bronze gets is, oh, it's going to take like 12 hours to judge everything. But like, how did you find the efficiency of everything, like the team sizes for judging, and how all that worked?
Yeah, so it definitely took us longer than our previous system, which I think I spoke about in the last event, which was a bit of a hybrid system between first, second, third, and the gold, silver, bronze, where we awarded previously just one gold per category, so one first place essentially, and then just some highly commendeds. But moving over to this, yeah, it was definitely took a bit longer. Obviously, it was the first time we've done it, so we knew there was going to be some some teething issues. But like Sam said, it sounds like most of the front end, the attendees didn't really see that, which is fantastic. So we still managed to sort of hide that from the people that attended, which is great. But I definitely know there was 4 or 5 of us that had a huge weekend because it was completely new and just having to go around and double check and cross check stuff. But in saying that, obviously lessons learned. Next sort of 12 months we'll train more people up, which will make that smoother for next year. So we probably had to call people. We kind of do it at we use a big group of people, which we do a first pass sort of thing, which we call triaging, and they kind of go through and do an initial look at stuff, mark off faults, etc. And then the other group will come through after and kind of finalise and award the gold, silver, bronze. So I think it will be we just need to get a few more people up to a higher level of judging, which we're going to start in February. We've already had a discussion about that, which will we'll make that quicker again next year. And then also we're looking at having a fully automated sort of system, so the judges will be able to scan a QR code on the entry form, and kind of just do that electronically and send it through. That way we know we've covered everything, and once stuff kind of comes in and has been done, we can start that second phase quicker as well. So like I said, it was probably took us 2 or 3 hours longer than we normally use, but not a huge change. But but the reward is obviously more people get recognised for their good stuff. And the standard was quite high this year. I was quite impressed. That's the sort of the ultimate goal with it, I think. And I'm pretty confident that we'll get it down to a point where we, the same amount of time as it normally takes us. So.
No, it's great. And like you say, first time implementing everything is like first time going to take a bit longer, and then you'll become more and more efficient as,
Correct.
like say, more people, and it becomes a bit like clockwork. But it's good to see, like you say, already in February, already looking to get more people on, improve
Correct,
it, become more efficient. So that can only be a great thing, and see where it goes from there. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty keen. Yeah.
I just want to ask about your 2-day show. Or so when did you do your judging? Did you do it after the first night, or when did you actually take your judging take place?
So it started at 1:00.
Okay.
So straight after sort of lunch sort of thing, and then we pulled up stumps at about 5:30 in the afternoon. And then we finished it off the next morning by about 11:30 midday. So normally we're probably done by about 10 on the Sunday. So we try to it's all volunteers and stuff. And I know some shows will go into the night sort of thing, which is that's up to them. And like we've once the venue we were at, the price doesn't change and we can be there till midnight. So we could do that if we wanted, but it is also, like you're all aware, and those involved in running shows and stuff, your volunteers are important, and you also got to try and find a balance where you don't overwork them so they don't want to do it anymore. And also find a balance where they can kind of get out and catch up with people overnight, and if they wish to and stuff, and enjoy the weekend and not just be feel like they're working all weekend. So that's kind of something we kind of want to try and stick to it, and it seems to be working. I know some shows even shut off the judging hall so people can't be in there while they're judging, but the way we do small blocks of tables too, not big long rows like you get a lot of shows, and that was kind of I don't know if I mentioned last show, was a bit of a not so much a mistake. It wasn't what we thought when we got the tables and stuff last year from the venue, but it worked well, and we got a lot of feedback because people didn't have to run walk down big long rows of tables, and they could photograph models from multiple angles, and people actually liked it, so we've left it for this year, and again everyone got the same feedback again, so it's a bit different. Allows people to kind of mingle and chat easier and stuff as well. But also with the judging, you can kind of get out of the way of people and stuff too, and do both things at the same time. So
yeah, the round tables I think is a really good idea. I mean, like you said, there's so many plus advantages to it. Yeah. So like you said, the picture taking, one thing I did notice from the pictures, which thank you for everybody that posted the pictures. is the groups were able to put all their stuff on right together in a certain area on a certain table, which was kind of neat. You could see like the Gundam group was there, and there was some the Lincoln Machine and Krieger group was there, and all that. Speaking of Link, yeah, I saw he did a seminar again this year, which I watched. Yeah. What other seminars did you have? Yeah, that was fun. What other seminars did you have?
Oh, sorry. We had so obviously had Lincoln Wright. We had Lincoln Wright, Clayton Ockerby. Who else? David Hay, which is kind of a figure painter guy. Marissa, which is quite good with a Gundam. She won some Sparmax Award, some international Sparmax Award they ran recently and got second or third, I think, which is fantastic. We had a guy doing complex deckling, like on curves and stuff. One of the car and motorbike guys, which was good.
Gary Wickham doing 3D.
Gary Wickham. That's right. Gary Wickham did a bit of a chat about drawing stuff in 3D and printing and stuff, which was good. It's obviously a bit of a flavour at the moment. I'm trying to think what else we had there. We had Greg Lester, which is a fantastic ship modeler, do one of the methods of making water bases. I've definitely missed a couple because we had 2 days worth. But I'm just trying to think off the top of my head.
Don't ask me, man. I didn't see a single one of them this week.
Yeah.
I missed all of them.
Yeah. Apologies whoever I missed, but it's obviously well supported. Sam did one for us last year as well, and I know it's all very well received, and we try and get people that are good and can learn off, and good presenters and stuff, and people of sort of Sam's caliber and stuff, which we've just been I've been blown away. Most of I asked the guys, and they're quite keen to be involved and help, which is again fantastic, because a lot of these aren't our club members as well, so they're travellers, and they're travelling to pay and come and see our event, but they're still also happy to jump in for an hour somewhere and make the show what it is. So huge shout out to those guys and girls as well.
Pete, one of the things that I love about your show is you call it the friendliest scale modeling show in Australia, and I'm kind of curious how you're building that environment and how maybe you built on that in 2024.
I think it's something, like I said, I think on the previous show, like we obviously were quite a small event when we started. Mike started, and the club, previous committee started it, 24 years ago now. I think they've kind of always had that attitude. So it's something as the show's grown that we've kind of always had feedback about as well, like traders saying how there's always a stream of people that run out and help them unpack their van, or stuff like that, always approachable. Like this weekend, we said online entries only, but we had, I think, 3 or 4 people from, well outside Canberra. I think one was from Victoria, one South Australia, and a couple from Sydney, which is, 4 odd hours up the road. And, they kind of rocked up and, hadn't done the online entry thing, but we still accommodated it and, kind of got them in the door and stuff. And into the comp, which, I think it's just, you're not going to turn someone away that's driven that far. But also, it does cause a bit of an admin issue for us, but, we're happy to, still, all smiles and, and accommodate that sort of thing. Yeah, and I guess same thing, like being approachable, people ask for feedback. We gave feedback where we could, putting stuff on like dinners and catch-ups. Yeah, it's just,
you posted on Friday night. You posted on the ACT SMS page that you're all headed to the Civic Hotel. Was it Civic? Yeah.
Civic
and
pub,
so there was
whatever.
the Civic pub, and there was like 30 or 40 attendees at the pub at one point, all sort of standing around. It was sort of the equivalent of the SMC Friday night bar, Jensen. It was pretty good. Yeah, it was pretty good. Very, very friendly. Lots of people there.
I was under the impression it would take that many people to keep Link under control. Maybe that was wrong on my part.
Yeah, he's a bit of he has a team that follow him around, I think, and lend a few touches.
Team of handlers.
Exactly. Handlers is one way to say it. Well, Sam, as an attendee, and you're a guy that's been to a lot of shows in a lot of different countries. So here's your chance, to kind of give us a critique of Pete's show. But what did you think overall, and what would you tell to somebody who is maybe thinking about attending ScaleACT 2025?
That it's absolutely put on your list to attend. It's I've been going for maybe not 25 years, but definitely sort of half that time. I remember the first one I went to, Pete, it was upstairs at some some place. It was before Kayleen, the high school. The site before that one.
Is it the RSL in City or something?
Might have been, yeah. Anyway, it was. I know it was upstairs. Anyway, yeah. And so I've been going for ages, and look, obviously this one was by far the best one, and as you'd hope, every year you want to improve, but just the quality of models was outstanding. The number of models was crazy, and trying to photograph every model and trying to juggle that with talking to every person you want to talk to and stuff. That was my struggle for the weekend. So and then people still are bringing up, hey, did you see this model or that model? And I'm like, no. How could I have missed it? It was on the table, but invariably you're chatting to people or you're wandering around, that sort of stuff, and I missed a heap of stuff, unfortunately. So there's been a few galleries posted on Facebook, which is really good. So but look, the social side of it as well was the best one I've been to locally ever. Every night we were always out having dinner and a few drinks and stuff, and it felt like lots of people were staying really close. There's lots of good hotels in Canberra and lots of good sort of places to go out and eat and have a few drinks and stuff. So it all seemed really close, and everyone sort of was hanging around, and people had walked past and, hey, there's so and so, that sort of stuff. So it was great fun, yeah. And there's tons to do in Canberra as well. That's outside the competition. So yeah, Sunday morning we went to the Australian War Memorial, which is our huge national sort of war museum and memorial, and it's worth a trip to Canberra just for that. Even though it's being renovated still, it's incredible. Yeah. So, but there's a mountain of stuff to do in Canberra as well, not just ScaleACT. So it's definitely worth attending.
Sounds like a great show. It sounds like you guys had a lot of fun. I was wondering something you guys said earlier though, Peter, about the online registration. How did that overall go for you? As just that's your primary focus, is everybody has to pre-register like that?
Yeah, so we've done that now for about 4 or 5 years, I think, and it's been really good. Like, last year we had no one rock up. Everyone did it online, sort of thing. But it's been working really well. It streamlined the admin hugely in the back end for the guys that Jerry Cashman is the admin guru for the judging stuff, and he does a fantastic job year in on year out, and it's made his life so much easier. We can go through all the categories and entries and stuff before even people turn up. It allows us to pre-print everything, so literally they line up at the admin doors, they walk in, pay, they walk in and say their name, like Sam will walk in, my name Sam Dwyer. They'll it's all in alphabetical order on the table. They'll pull Sam's judging slips out, and whatever it'll be on the front saying $27 whatever, or $27, sorry, and they'll pay either via cash or cash or electronic payments. We've got FPOS machines and stuff there, and then there's someone in a yellow vest for those that need it that'll take them and show them where their tables are and put their entries out. So it's something that's been happening for a couple of years now. I think we've got Sam can correct me wrong but I think it runs
super simple. Yeah, just dead simple. So seamless. It was all there, and no problem at all. It was all done in 5 minutes.
Wow, that makes it
not even. Yeah.
Wow, that's really good. I mean, because it seems like you take a whole bunch of that issue that the show has at the beginning, where you're trying to find, trying to fill out paperwork, trying to find a pen, all this other kind of stuff. And, and I understand, like you said earlier, that you had a few people show up, and, more power to you. But compared to what it would have been if you didn't have that, it's a great idea. And I'm really glad to see how that works out. Interesting to see how that works out.
No, I think it's working well. So we're definitely going to, it's something I think we've got quite fine tuned now. So we'll definitely leave that in place, and we'll still be pushing people to do it online. We,
right.
Obviously it saves us. We don't want to see a trend of people now that just start rocking up on the day, because that'll annoy us a little bit. I think that's definitely working well. And once we implement the rest of the rest of the whole judging system onto it, I think with use a bit more automation, I think we'll get the rest of it just as streamlined as the entry process, which will be fantastic.
Yeah, I might have missed this when my computer crashed, but did you give out the total number? How many models you have?
Yeah, so I think I just had it here before, but we had, I think, about 808 registered, but that always dwindles down because I think people are dreaming about finishing the hour, and it doesn't quite get across the line or something. So whatever the registered number is, it usually drops off that. So I think 786 once we started judging. So that was the final number, which is huge. Like we were planning, I think last year we had just under 700. So we're planning for an increase of maybe about 30 or 40, which has been our trend sort of the last couple of years. We nearly had 100 extra. So
wow.
Yeah, it was a huge turnout, and I guess a huge show of support for us moving to the new system, and for us working hard to try and put a good weekend on for everyone.
That's not much of a drop off for hopes and dreams. That's a pretty good completion percentage as a whole, I would say.
Yeah. It's usually about 15 to 20. So when it was sitting at 808, I said, it'll be somewhere in high sevens. But yeah.
Were they just your models, Pete, that didn't make it?
Yeah, probably. I was away for the last 7 weeks before the weekend, so it could have been behind that.
Sam, let's dive into what you brought. Tell us kind of how many you brought, and maybe what categories they went into.
Yeah, so I'm just a lazy 9 models, which isn't bad. So I've had a very productive year, which is kind of good. So since Model Expo in June here in Melbourne, that was the only 2 of the models that I took to Canberra were at Expo. So I finished 7 models in the however many months between June and now. So it's been good. 8 if you count the roof that I smashed. It's 8 models, but. Anyway, we won't talk about that too much. So I entered into the Kitty Hawk Cup and the Sentinel Shield, which are kind of little subcategories that the competition runs every year. The Kitty Hawk Cup this year was the Edward Zero and or Roof, built out of box, and it's just a bit of a challenge, I guess, Pete, is just to really get people to build something out of box, all on the same aircraft and that sort of thing. So I got a Zero finished, and the other one was an Abrams 48 scale. 48 scale, Tamir Abrams. So yeah, I'm a scale trader now with armor. So anyway, and they're both fun categories because it sort of gets you building outside your comfort zone a little bit. And then everything else was in master class armor and master class aircraft. So this year the armor category, all the categories were, I guess, grouped. And Pete can go into detail on this. It was sort of rookie. I guess sort of standard class, Pete. I know that standard's not the right word, but it's standard, and then I guess master class. And so all my stuff went into master, which is good, and the standard is pretty high, unbelievably high, in fact. So which was awesome. So I'm competing against kind of pretty much the cream of the modelers in Australia, which is really what you want. So it was really, really good turnout.
Peter, how many, I wanted to talk about the levels anyway, but how many as a percentage, just kind of maybe just winging it, you think go into masters versus the standard category versus the beginners? Is it, a pretty low number? Is it,
so obviously, most were in the standard, but I think it was just under 150 in masters, which was huge. So there's, 150 very high quality models, across those subjects, sort of competing with each other, or, competing against the system, and against each other, because we awarded the best of for each, a different coloured coin again for best of for, all the category groups. And then, obviously, majority fell in standard, and then I think we had about 100 in rookie, which was fantastic. People that have either never entered a show before, coming back into the hobby after, maybe 20 years or something, which does tend to happen a fair bit once their kids move out or something like that. They're kind of just at that sort of standard at the moment. So it was, sort of fantastic to see. And I think that's a huge turn up, huge increase actually, which might be, a good indicator of why gold, silver, bronze is good as well, because we had a category that we used to run called Achievement Unlock, which was designed essentially a rookie category, which kind of sat around the 30 to 40 mark sort of thing for entries for the last couple of years, and that's kind of got up to nearly 100 this year. So I guess it kind of shows that there is an appetite for that sort of thing, and people that want to kind of come out and show what they've been working on, compete within a skill category and potentially, and obviously be separated from people that are sort of more advanced as they they improve and kind of come into the hobby, and we can acknowledge them and support them, and which is important on their journey to hopefully keep them modeling as well. So
one thing I wanted to ask is how did you find international attendee rate? Like obviously I know SMC, IPMS, NATS, both UK and US. These like big shows, they do gather a lot of international attendance. How did your show measure up to that?
Yeah, so we have never. I wouldn't say never, but not recently had anyone from overseas. But this year we had a couple of guys from New Zealand, and apparently I seen a comment from someone saying that he met a friend from the US. So I'm not sure who that was or whatever, but there was a comment saying how much of a I was reading the other day about a great weekend he had and a good show, and he got to catch up with people from New Zealand and a friend from the US. So there's a chance that maybe that person's working here in Canberra at the moment because obviously Canberra's our Washington sort of thing. So all embassies and stuff are here, all that sort of stuff, defence headquarters, blah, 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 blah. So there's a lot of sort of foreign postings and stuff here. So I don't know, that could have been it as well. But this year is the first year in a while that I'm aware of that we've had a couple of people from overseas. I know a couple of people from Asia and Hong Kong and stuff who were trying to come down, but had some things come up at the last minute and couldn't make it, unfortunately. But I think it's kind of starting to kind of, gain a little bit of interest. But I guess the biggest issue for us, and always kind of has been for all the big shows in Australia, is how far away we are from everyone else. So, that's why we've also been trying to work on things like with what Peter Schum's been doing with the live streaming and putting stuff up on YouTube and whatever to to kind of show what we're doing down here and maybe hopefully people might not be able to attend every year like they do some other shows, and obviously Europe, you're a lot closer together and stuff, but and some places in the US you've got probably a lot more flights and stuff because you've got a bigger population, so it probably makes it a little bit more affordable potentially. But so I think we're trying to get around it a little bit, put the flag up a bit, and hopefully maybe not every year, but we might see a slight increase hopefully. And obviously anyone that comes down to, like I said before, reach out and we'll make sure that you're kind of looked after and you're not kind of walking around lost in Canberra or anything like that. So.
You've also, Pete, you've been working with other clubs in Australia as well,
Yes.
of fostering that relationship with IPMS here in Vic, and then the South Australian guys and the Queensland guys as well, just to really, try and lift the tide, lift everyone along the way, sort of thing.
Yeah, like obviously, we're not trying to every show. Like I said, I think everyone's show is different. There's so many variables, like the volunteer force you might have, the ability of people, all that sort of stuff to you've got to kind of juggle. There's such a big juggling act to do these things. And just recently reaching out and chatting, QMHE, which is a huge show in Australia too. Those guys, their whole committee pretty much came down to our event this year. A few of the guys from WASMEX, which is Perth, which is, I don't know, 5 and a bit hour flight from Canberra over the other side of the country. They attended, and a couple of guys from South Australian, their Sampa or whatever they're called. Apologies, John, if I got that wrong, but that's their president. But they attended it, and it was just fantastic. And obviously, so many other
the category as well.
Sorry, they did. Yeah, sorry, the South Australian guys actually, they did. Yeah, South Australian club actually sponsored 2 categories this year, which was a great sort of show of friendship, which is fantastic, and support for our event. And also on Sunday, I had the IPMS Queensland president come up to me and said he wants to sponsor some categories next year. So it's just a huge sort of show of support and kind of getting that comms going. And like I said, it's not about trying to tell each other how to run a show, but it's just having that option. If people go, oh hey, how did you do this, or how did you do that, or whatever, or how did you guys do this, it's just to share ideas if they want to share, or whatever. Like there's no pressure, but it's just having that line of communication there. And if, like I said, we kind of, I think I might have mentioned it on the last show, I think we kind of worked out that maybe probably 10% of a club that, or probably 10% of our members would, regularly travel to another show. And it's the same when I was chatting to these guys, it was the same. So, if we're doing something well and we can share it with QMHE or Expo or South Australia, whatever, WASMEX, and they want to bounce ideas and borrow those, and it makes a better show for the people that, can't travel, then it's better for the hobby. So, it's not about, having a ruler and stuff. So I think it's important to keep this hobby, growing and all that sort of stuff. And it's the only way to do that is to be sharing. So.
Yeah, exactly. I was thinking then, like, you expand that grassroots support.
Correct. Yeah.
To take care of the people who attend, they take care of
Yeah.
the show, and then it just blooms. Then, doesn't it? It just gets bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
That's why it's why I drag 9 models up. Support the competition, and I can't take 9 models to SMC or to the Nats because I just physically can't carry them on the plane. But if I can load the car up to the roof with stuff and then bring a couple of mates on the way who bring models as well. Although having said that, both blokes I picked up didn't bring any models, so I picked up 2 friends on the way, and they just are hopeless and didn't bring any models at all. So they know who they are.
Next year, so.
Yeah, but I mean, I do have to say, in recognition of you guys, Sam and a whole bunch of modelers from Australia have made it up here to the U.S. For some shows. I know Grant and JB and I are starting to talk about hopefully coming to your show in 2026. So I mean, we certainly, the airplane ride is the same distance in either direction. So we'd love to come down and check it out. I mean, the show just sounds amazing. There seems like all the things that we really value in a show, going to gold, silver, bronze, which I think, regardless of where you stand on that, I don't want to get into a debate on that, but I think you can see in the hobby as a whole that there's a movement worldwide towards gold, silver, bronze, and towards really alternate formats, shows that are willing to kind of take a chance to listen to the attendees and say, what do you guys want? How can we make this a better experience, and how can we facilitate these great social interactions, which the amount of shows since we started in 2020, it's amazing how many model shows have started up and everything, but also it seems like the quality of the shows continues to increase.
Yeah, definitely. I think, like I said, that's why we broke it into skills. So, and also had the best of and best of show still. So that the best of each category and the best of show, I think, went a little way to kind of soften the sort of those traditional 1, 2, 3 guys, because there's still a bit of a competition there to be the best of that sort of genre sort of thing. So well, obviously the main focus is gold, silver, bronze. There's a little bit sort of an extra bit of icing on top of the cake there for those that like that sort of stuff still. So I think it was
it sells itself. Like previously you'd have a category and there'd be one guy who gets a first, and then a second and a third, and that's cool, and then everyone else misses out. And potentially there are amazing models that miss out on a place because of that 1, 2, 3. So this way, more than 3 models get rewarded and recognized, which is fantastic. So inclusive.
Yeah, that's a great, and that's what it's all about, in my opinion, is make sure everybody gets the recognition they deserve. But I we've been talking about this too, but I want to know from Sam's point of view, what did he like there? What was his models that he enjoyed? I'm going to put you on the spot, Sam.
Two-part answer. If I had a complaint about the show, is that I didn't get to see all the models. It just so many fantastic models on the table. So I was, I guess, had the privilege of being asked to assist with some judging in the standard class on the Sunday. For whatever reason, they needed some assistance. I think it might have been the guys who did it maybe didn't get a chance to get it done on Saturday, Pete, or however that turned out. So I judged standard class armor, and there were some fantastic models in that category. And the one of the little models that actually was the best on the table was a little Austin armored car or a little Austin scout car thing from the First World War. Again, not the biggest and flashiest thing on the table, but it was really, really well done. It was really, really nice. So I thought that was probably one of the nicest models on on the tables. And then in aircraft, I guess there was some incredible, such high standard in aircraft, boy. But one of the models that ended up winning gold was a mate, Callum, his F4 fandom, F4B fandom. He's not a very nice guy, but he makes a fantastic model. And
one of the worst blokes in Australia. But
one of the worst blokes in Australia. He's a shooter. But beautiful Phantom, and it deservedly won gold. So and then and the same with another fellow, Eric Galliers, who does 32nd scale. He pays me to not build 32nd scale, and his aircraft, he always picks a subject that is it'll be a local pilot or a pilot that he has that he knows or that he knows the family of, and so there's a real meaning to his models as well. And so this time he did a beautiful, I think it was a Typhoon, Pete, and it ended up winning best aircraft and best show. Yeah. And it had the logbook. The daughter of the pilot had the logbook and all that sort of stuff. And he picks that sort of stuff. And so whilst they're amazing models, they also have like a real meaning to them as well, which is just awesome. So and so look, there's a mountain of really good stuff. Unfortunately, I just there are things that people keep bringing up that I just missed, and that's just a reflection of how many great models were on the table, but also how social the event was as well. It was just spent so much time chatting to people and that sort of stuff, which was brilliant. So
the people do line up for Sam's
they don't. They line up.
So
stop.
I'll tell you a funny story.
Don't make me reply, Scott. You know how I'm going to reply.
I'll tell you a funny story about Sam and Clayton. So obviously, this is it's the Sam Dwyer, and Clayton Ockerby is pretty well known to be on your show as well. And obviously in Australia, I would have to say that a lot of people would know them as well, but both of them on the weekend got challenged at the door for not having their passes. So I had to go to the front door and say, no, these two are actually, they can actually, they actually have entered the model. They can build a model. We should probably let them in the door. But it was also good that, the volunteers on the front door were doing the right thing as well. But, and good job to them as well. But, it was just quite funny that, Sam and Clayton Ockerby got bailed up and, kind of not allowed in, and,
great leveler.
Sam Dwyer wasn't recognised, or either Clayton by two of Australia's models.
It's embarrassing, dude. It's embarrassing.
Like,
we're not on special.
Do either of you have YouTube?
Well, I don't. So.
Yes.
The Sam you're talking about, the one that won best aircraft. I saw a picture of his daughter with the model in the builder. That's a amazing picture just alone. It's just amazing. Yep. So
he's another one of these guys who's a great modeler but an awful person. He's an amazing guy, really, as well.
He's a great guy. Her daughter came in, which was great. I met her and obviously welcomed her to the event and stuff. Because obviously a privilege to have someone like that there. Yeah. And obviously, kind of walked with them for a little bit. Spoke with her and Eric Galliers, the modeler, and she brought in her father's logbook. He got shot down on D-Day, obviously, and survived, obviously. But it's all in his flight log, which was awesome to see. And somehow they returned the a placard or something. I think it's a plate with off the firewall of the Typhoon, I think, which he still has, the one that was shot down on D-Day. So
oh wow.
We got to see that as well, and Eric got
love in the logbook how humble the event is. Shot down. It's like he was shot down on D-Day.
Exactly. Yeah, it was just such a good tie-in because this year's obviously the 75th anniversary of D-Day as well, and and Eric done the Typhoon in the exact markings off reference photos and stuff of the aircraft her father flew that got shot down in. So it was a really sort of great thing to witness on the weekend, and just another little golden nugget of a great weekend.
Yeah, that's great. That makes it even better. I mean, you can bring the history and people see that, and and you understand. And the model was beautiful. I mean, it was just. I mean, it was. It's from a guy that evidently is very not nice, but but we talked about the categories. Do you have you have basically standard, master? What was the first one? I'm sorry. Rookie, and now you have a junior category also. The rookies are not part of junior.
Separate,
okay, so is a junior just as plain old junior category, or is there levels in that also? Okay, that's great.
No, so the juniors is probably more like essentially a display table. We don't want to put the competitive pressure on them at a young age. They can just have fun, build what they want to build.
Right.
Bring it in, be happy to show it off.
Obviously make out with all the loot.
I was going to say.
We had a number of people sponsor juniors this year. So I think a guy in the club wants to be anonymous, but he put a couple $100 towards buying kits for the kids.
Wow.
So they all got a kit each, a decent kit, like an armful of tools and glue and stuff from one of the sort of tool traders in Canberra or Australia. Sorry, I think it might have been ICSI or something from Queensland maybe. And Peter Schulm from Runway 13, I think, gave them some stuff as well, which is another tool and paint shop sort of thing. And they all got a green, yellow, or a blue challenge coin. So like Sam said, they got armfuls of loot they'll kind of making off like an armed robbery out the door. But
as they should do. If you can support them in any way and foster them staying in the hobby and getting something out of it, it's awesome. So
and even like a couple of the kids, like when they came up to get their stuff, I was standing up there, and Mike, a convener of ScaleACT, was kind of pushing this lump of stuff towards them, and they're like, eyes are wide open, mouths dropped, and they're like, a couple of them like, is that all mine, sort of thing? And Mike's like, it's all yours, and they're just like looking up at their mum or dad who walked them up, and they were just absolutely stoked. So, which is kind of said in my wrap up on Facebook, if you didn't read, like the biggest thing that pushes me to do it every year is just the vibe, the smiles on people's faces, all that sort of stuff. Because like I said, you don't know what people are going through and whatever, and if you can put something on to for people to get together and have a laugh and have a good weekend, and you see people smiling and chatting and laughing, whatever. Like, I think that's what drives me each year to kind of put in the hard yards. And many of my community members are all the same. That's what keeps the fuel in the tank for us to come back and do it again, because that's what motivates us, sort of thing. Not trying to take over or be someone else or try and do what someone else is doing. It's just that's what I think we've got a good bunch of people there, and that's what's driving us, which is like I said, putting on a good fun weekend.
Yeah, I think that's great, especially for what you do for the juniors and the young people in the hobby. Like massive props to like the traders, the vendors, and the community members who help supply this stuff, because it's one thing to get kids into the hobby, but things cost money and kids don't really have money. So to provide them with the opportunity to model and not have to have their parents like invest in it initially, that's a great thing. It's like, okay, here's everything you need to get started. Go to town, have fun. I think that in any way that's better than like a trophy or anything. It's like, right, here are the tools, all up to you now. Have fun. So I think that's amazing. That.
Yeah. Cheers.
Couple more questions. Our modelers is their work identified by name, or do you keep that anonymous? And also, if you come in and you enter, say, standard, and you do well, you place, are you bumped up automatically, or is that completely up to the discretion of the participants?
We had some discussion before the weekend in the months leading up, and we kind of parked that because we had enough on our plates just getting the gold, silver, and bronze and the foundations of that sorted. And it's something we will pick up again in the early new year, obviously, and discuss again about a promotional, or demotion system, which is like, I don't want to talk negatively, but it's I guess something we're still going to try and have a look at. Potentially we'll just leave it to be.
That'd be tough if you had a relegation system.
Yeah,
you relegate back to standard, back to rookie class.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess we'll let people self-nominate. I think if potentially it's the first year running, people that were in Masters this year and didn't get gold, silver, or bronze at all, like they might have had 10 things in Masters, but if something got a gold or silver or whatever, obviously they wouldn't be allowed to drop down. The other thing I'd like to work on is this year we didn't allow it just because of an admin thing in the background. Like I said, we've got to find a balance between the customer and the volunteer force. But next year, to try and be able to potentially allow people that are, I know a lot of skills are transferable, but still, building a weathered tank to a nice, bright, shiny car or something is maybe not going to, or figure painting, the dark art of figure painting like Grant does. But there's a witch, I think, sometimes. But yeah, so that sort of stuff, like, figures might be quite hard for some people, but, they might be able to build, a master level aircraft, but allowing people to drop down depending on what category and stuff. But once it's fully automated, we should be allowed to do that. So that'll probably be the first thing we want to get sorted for next year. And then, obviously have a chat again if time permits about a promotion and system, or, I think there was some stuff in standard that probably could have gone up. So, having a look at that and seeing what rules, kind of rules we put around that to try and keep that, standard, probably standard the main thing, to keep it sort of at the level it needs to be to kind of keep encouraging the large majority of modelers that support that and the show. So
you need to get that in for next year, mate. We've got those rally cars to build.
yes,
So we're all going to have to be. We're going to have to be in rookie class for those rally cars, mate. They're going to be ugly.
I just don't. If you're gonna do demotions, I don't want to be the guy that ever gets that job. You know,
Exactly.
it's like the guy that pushes people up. He's probably okay. The other guy's never gonna get a free beer ever.
As I said,
Ever.
it was negative language. I didn't mean it that way, but it's not. Yeah, I think, like I said, most we didn't really look at it because I think maybe there's one or two that maybe underestimated their ability, but that is what out of 809 models, like 2%. So 788. Sorry,
Well, you never force someone down. You'd give them the option if they wanted to go back to a class. You never push anyone to go anywhere.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. I said most people self-assessed and did the right thing this year without even being sort of like I said, without us having to review the list and all that sort of stuff. And like obviously you had a quick gander over it and a quick look over it on the Friday before the show and made sure that Sam Dwyer wasn't in rookies.
Well, once he got through the
I tried.
That sort of thing.
Once they let him through the door, right? Everything kind of took care of itself.
Because he hasn't entered a show before, so that's why he got held up at the door.
Yeah. No, Sam's okay. Let him come in.
It's his first time.
It's okay. No. I mean, jokes aside, what you're doing is obviously working really, really well, and it sounds like it's just going to kind of continue to be successful for you.
Yes.
I got a quick question here, real quick. What was the divide? How many was there? More aircraft, more armor, more? Did you see an increase in all? Or was it just a?
We've always been. I think Canberra's always been a heavy, more heavily like aircraft focused show. Not focused, I guess, but popular, I guess maybe. And I think in Australia in general, it's aircraft are well represented. Probably a little bit of an anomaly to that is the Wagga guys. They're about a couple of hours from Canberra out west, and a lot of them in Western New South Wales, and a lot of them come across actually and supported the weekend as well. There's so many, so I've missed clubs. No, I missed clubs on the thank you thing on Facebook because there was just so many, like the Illawarra guys come up. We go down there, like they're only a couple of hours away too. We have a really good relationship with those guys. Yeah, I think aircraft's well represented. Like the Wagga show had 308 models there, and you could probably say that 280 of them were trucks or cars. So
wow,
they're really packed. Bit of an exaggeration maybe, but they're very, those guys out there love their civilian stuff, their motorbikes and cars and trucks, and that's their sort of niche thing, and they do some really nice stuff in that area, and that's their thing, which is cool. Like, love seeing different things. Like we're all looking at 400 P51s or 109s or something. Gets boring pretty quick, so it's good to see those guys doing something different and to a very good standard. Like some of them are in masters as well, and bringing that stuff across. Yeah, it's probably, but we have seen an increase in things like Gundam now that we're trying to, we've got a bit of work there still to do. It wasn't quite as what they like, sort of thing, the way they judge differently to what we normally do, like with everything else and all that sort of stuff. So we're trying to build a system though that can incorporate the whole event. So we've got to also kind of communicate with them and explain why we're doing things certain ways, that we can't just have a separate, sort of separate. A bit of lightning here at the moment. If that's
same here, mate. We're getting thunder and lightning as well.
Yeah,
Pete and I are about 700 kilometers apart, 800 kilometers apart at the moment, and obviously the east coast of Australia is getting hammered with storms. Yeah, wow, sorry, distracting.
Sorry. Yeah, so and obviously Lincoln, I don't know how, but we got him. He attended last year, and now he's like the first person to ring me to say he's coming again. So we can't, we invited him and put a Mac category in the comp, and now we can't get rid of him. So it's like puppy at the back door.
And he's just the Energizer Bunny too, isn't he? Just bouncing off the walls.
We love him, and that's another area that's grown. Like obviously since he's turned up, it's like last year we had probably a dozen, and we probably had nearly a table full this year. So of that Machine Krieger stuff, and like I said on the previous show, like. It might not be something I would build, but all the Gundam stuff. But like Marissa won Best Painted for her Gundam, was just nuts. Like it was all these different coloured metallic paints, and we all know how hard metallic paints are to paint. And it was flawless, and it looked like it was like what the car guys do, but obviously with 1,000 part or
Wow.
probably more, and all these metallic colors. It was exceptional, but like I said, it's all you can recognize the skill and the work, and like while it might not be your sort of thing, it's you can recognize it and share it, and it's great. Yeah.
Well, we're talking about this. Excuse me. What are the figure painters like? What's that community like? Did you have a lot of figures on the table?
Yeah, figure painting is definitely picking up over here as well, and probably seeing an increase as well over the last few years. There's a couple of separate figure painting clubs in Canberra and Australia as well, and they are a couple of them are starting to attend, and I think the guy that won best figure also he got it last year as well. I think he got best painted, I think, for a figure last year, and it was like when you turn it in a certain angle and it makes it look like it's actually on fire or something, or the sun's actually shining on it. It's incredible. It's really good. It's really cool. It's something I've ever dived into and way too scared to.
I don't know that I saw any figures on the weekend, Pete. Again, it's another tired group of tables I missed.
Because the one the guy won best figure for was just like I said, you turn it once you get on that right angle sort of thing. As you turn the base, it looks like it's the sun shining on it. Or and last year he done one with like a devil, and it literally looked like there was a fire under him. It was just it was really cool. But I guess the hard thing is trying to, when you photograph, it just doesn't come through, unfortunately. So it's definitely something you need to see in person, I think, with that sort of stuff. But yeah, really cool. Yeah.
So for 2025, what are aside from letting Clayton and Sam in the door, what are some changes that you're going to make to the show? You mentioned maybe trying to get some more engagement with some groups in the local community, but what are some changes you anticipate maybe incorporating for next year?
Yeah, I think obviously building on those relationships that have already been started. We had like WA is, I don't know, probably like flying from the East Coast to the West Coast for you guys. And it's I think we had 1 or 2 last year, and I think we had about 10 this year. So we're starting to see an increase of people traveling quite a distance. So it's obviously keeping those relationships going. Chatting with them, seeing how we maybe support some categories over there and return the favor. All that sort of stuff, and build on that. And like I said, we don't have the privilege, I think, of like the guys in Europe, where you're a lot closer and having all these people from all parts of Europe attending shows and stuff. So I think it's obviously got to if we look after the people here, and we have a couple of international guests every now and then that comes in to make it a little bit more special, then fantastic. Obviously, core market is here in Australia, so building on that, hopefully getting more people to the event, and pushing for our club and our members to get out to other events as well. Reviewing, putting some more automation in for 2025, which the people attending won't see that, but it will make our volunteers a lot less stressed, and increase their ability to have a good weekend as well, which is important. Swap and sell, we're looking at doing a similar thing as well, automating that so it's even smoother again, getting people in and out the door, and the admin burden of that reduced. And running around and putting people in armrest bars or something and holding them down to do demos again at next year's show. And make sure we cover all bases to to put on another great weekend. But like I said, the biggest thing will be is just probably a lot of back end stuff that people won't see, but also I think a lot of the front end stuff people are happy with, but there's just a few things we can polish, I think, for 2025, and a few ideas to, get some more traders involved. We had Magic Factory there, Hong Kong Models, and some international tool brand was there with some, I think, from Asia as well, with some stuff on display. Display only, because obviously we've got Australian importers, so they can't sell. So, it'll breach contracts and stuff. So those guys just bring stuff to, their latest stuff to put out on show, which is great. And potentially, it's a bit of an idea that because we're so far away, potentially some companies might, like Hong Kong Models did this year, just send us the the banners and the kit and stuff to put out, and we'll do that. I'll probably somewhere to improve is to reach out to some more and see, if you guys can't actually physically attend in person, are you happy to do what some of these other brands are doing now, which is send us box stuff and we'll just set it up for you. So, your test shots or whatever, we'll happily put that on display for you. And I think that's an area we might try and improve.
If only we had a motivated Tamiya importer here in Australia, mate, and they'd be able to send their latest kits like they do in the US.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. I don't know. Like, surely if they ask, they'd get it.
Yeah. Again, if we had a motivated Tamiya seller here, importer here, which we don't.
They do. The guys that do import in Tamiya, they're a platinum sponsor of our event, so they do help us in that.
Oops.
They are. They're good. So they've been good on that side of the fence, but potentially I can reach out to them. That might be it's always an idea, and there might be something they can do for us is to reach out to Tamiya and say, hey, can you guys send us your latest stuff for our event? So.
Yeah, let us know next year too, and the posse will sponsor a category for you as well.
Awesome.
We'd love to support what you do. You guys have a great team and some great people down there in that community.
Yeah.
Well, Jensen, any other questions for our guests?
Yeah, I had one. This is one of those really weird trivial questions that I like to ask about like any show.
Cool.
So obviously, a multiple day event. What are the logistics like parking, accommodation, eating in the area? How does all that work?
Parking is exceptional. There's, you might have to walk a little bit depending how many people are there, but there's so much free parking. For people that want to drive, we've got a light rail system where there's a stop probably 300 meters from the gate. So it's, a tram or, it's a small train essentially that runs from the center of town and goes past the venue. So people that might fly or bus in or something and don't have a car here, you can kind of jump on that. But it is a bit of a walk. I said about 300 or 400 meters to the front gate. But it's an easy walk. There's a footpath and all that sort of stuff. In the center of town, there's, like Sam said, there's so much accommodation and good places to eat. Literally, was it by car 10 minutes?
Not even from the venue to the hotels where we were staying, which is right in the center of town. And it's 10 minutes. And Canberra likes to complain about their peak hour traffic. There were 9 cars on the road in peak hour on Friday night. We're like, wow,
Jeez.
It's not quite. But
so Grant is from LA, so you can see him shaking his head.
You'll think it's a country town when you come out here, Grant. But like I said, and everything's being the capital. Like I said, it's a bit like Washington. So we've got our national museums here, which is great. The War Memorial, like Sam touched on. Those of kids, and even with our kids, Questacon, which is like a front-facing science thing where you can go learn, everything about tornadoes, earthquakes, whatever. And they've got simulators that you can stand in and get shook and whatever if you're into that. Grant probably gets real ones, but no, not in LA. Yeah, so Grant might stay away from that, but yeah, there's the National Library for those that are kind of in that historical
National Gallery as well.
Book stuff. The National Archives are here. Parliament House, which is our White House sort of thing. Yeah, all that sort of big stuff is here. So there's those coming from overseas, you could easily make a week of it. It's not just like just a weekend sort of thing. So.
And I owe JB an 8-hour drive, so he's going to have to fly into Melbourne, and he's going to have to fly into Melbourne, and I'll drive him up. So it's about a 7.5-hour drive from Melbourne to Canberra.
Yes,
so,
he's in Korea right now, so yeah, that'll be. It's like Australia, that's a no big deal. We'll be now. Yeah,
I imagine
that'll be that'll be lots of. He can see lots of just empty vast paddocks for 7 hours while he drives up.
we did 8 hours of cornfields in 22, didn't we, Jensen?
I was just about to say, surely a bit more picturesque than for cornfields, but
not much. Not much more picturesque.
The road between about Seymour, which is halfway up Victoria to the Victorian border, you could probably land a space shuttle. It's the longest straight road, one of the longest, other than probably going across the Nullarbor. I think it's the longest straight road I've driven on.
Yeah, from Denver to Omaha, where we had the Nationals a couple years ago, I would describe the scenery in this way: grass. That's all.
Yeah.
That's all.
Cornfields.
Yes.
corn.
Yeah.
It might be a little bit more exciting for like JB or whatever, that you might see a bit of wildlife.
Roadkill.
Yeah, dead or alive.
Count the dead kangaroos and dead wombats.
Count the dead kangaroos on the way to Canberra. Yeah.
Grant, you got any more questions for these guys?
Not really. I'm just, it looks like it's a fantastic show, and, really, really happy for what happened this year. And, it sounds like you're growing every year, which is great. And that's the key thing. You're keeping the riffraff out by keeping, Ockerby and Dwyer out. So that's good. It's an improvement. So I just like to say, congratulations all joking aside, congratulations.
Yeah,
it's great to see this it taking off like that.
Yeah, cheers.
Yeah, just add to that. Just congratulations, Peter, to you and your team. Again, just hearing all the feedback and seeing all the photos, it just looks like a show that we want to go to, and we do. So, we're hoping maybe not in 2025, but in 2026, come on down and impose on your hospitality. And
Definitely.
looks like a lot of fun. And then Sam, congratulations. Lots of well-deserved recognition. I think we talked in the last episode or maybe the one before about that Zeros. Lovely and just
thank you.
A lot of fantastic work as always from you. So anyway, we'll congratulations, Peter. Again, take a deep breath, and
Yes.
we look forward to seeing even greater things in 2025 and beyond.
Yeah, excellent. Thanks so much. And like I said, thanks to everyone again that that's listening, that attended or helped out over the weekend for like I said, sponsors, attendees, volunteers, whatever, to help us put on such a great weekend for everyone. And obviously thanks to you guys for having us on and letting us chat about our event again. And obviously more than welcome when you guys come down to make sure it's we're accommodating. We find a few nice things for you to do. There's a little bit of a hidden gem that I'll get you access to as well, potentially, to to make it even better. So
I'm a little nervous. Sam owes me one because we put him in a cable car over a 15-foot high ravine, and I think he still maybe holds that against me. But now
that was a highlight. No,
we had a great time, and I'm sure we'd have a great time down there. And
I know what Pete's referring to in regards to the hidden gem, and it's worth it. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, if you are listening in and thinking about going, do it. I mean, these guys have a great community down there of modelers, and obviously this show is a lot of fun. So anyway, well, best of luck, guys. We will talk with you soon.
Excellent. Thanks, boys.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers.
All right. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that interview. It's always fun to catch up with Sam, and Peter and his team. It sounds like just did an amazing job. Hopefully, if you listen to the interview, Posse, at least a couple of us want to go maybe here in the next year or two to that. But sounds like that show is really growing into one of the biggest and the best down there in Australia. So it was a lot of fun talking to those guys. All right. Well, it's been a couple of episodes, so we're going to go over to Doug for some feedback. I think he's got a whole bunch of things to catch up on as far as comments from the posse.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot here. We had a great discussion in episode 105, which spurred a lot of feedback. I'm going to share as much of this as I can. There's more than I can definitely get to. And so I appreciate everybody sharing what you have. And I've also had to do some editing of a lot of these that I am sharing, because otherwise they were novels. So, but we appreciate it. We read it all. We appreciate it all. We're going to share bits and pieces of that. Michael, the Aussie modeler, said, "Good afternoon, fellas. It was another great episode. What I liked most from 105 was the stories shared amongst friends. Listening to TJ talk about falling off the Sherman turret, I'm sure that we can all imagine ourselves doing that, or we have a friend like TJ that would fall off. He says that our hobby is a little slice of heaven that he enjoys. He always looks forward to club meetings and competitions." Dave Clark said after he burned out on organized modelings about 15 years ago, he got into video games. The video games, he got his clan. The clan fell apart, and for the past couple of years, he's been trying to reestablish his passion for the hobby. But the hobby has changed while he's away. The tools, the paints, the techniques, and all the new companies, all of those things have come into play. It all highlights just how much his modeling muscles have atrophied, and to be honest, an irrational fear of failure has been holding him back.
Yeah, those are subjects we talk about quite a bit, and I'm glad that he's getting after it. But like you just, I think somebody just mentioned, TJ said, just do it, just get in there and get those muscles back in shape by just doing it.
Yeah. He also liked Jensen's description of SMC as the show with no ego. Those are the only kind of shows that he has any interest in. While he's not likely to make it to SMC, wouldn't it be great if we had an SMC style event in the U.S.? And our friend Justin Ryan, in response to the latest episode and TJ and John's sentiments, this is more than just a hobby. It's part of what defines me. While I love the solitude that the bench affords me, going to shows and meeting people, hanging out with the likes of you fellas and all the others from his show, and all of my weird internet friends and even new ones, the memories we've made are what continually drives me. I bring the family to some shows, and even though they aren't into it, they know he is, and they all have a great time. Okay, Joe McCaslin said, responding to episode 105, is it a hobby or something more? Let me relate a story. I hesitate to share this. It's still a hard thing to think about. A few years ago, my life was affected by a horrific event. It was something that put me in a dark space for about 7 months. I didn't want to eat. I didn't want to sleep. In short, there were many things I didn't want to do. My mood was in a deep, dark hole. During that time, my model building was something that I just couldn't bring myself to do. Even thinking about it now has a serious effect on how I feel. I had to turn to professionals for help. I didn't know what else to do. The person I worked with knew I was a scale model builder. She made one of the main points of my recovery to get back into the hobby room. Scale model building is part of me. It is something that I turn to. For some, this hobby is just that. They can take it or leave it. For me, it is so much more. Such a part of my life that depression creeps in when I cannot get to the bench for periods of time. It is so much more than a hobby.
Well, we really appreciate, Joe, that you would share that with us, and really glad you went and talked to somebody, and you seem to be on the other side of it. But just, yeah, we've seen since this podcast started, we've seen so many incidents of what this community and what this hobby and working with your hands can do. Models for Heroes and what they do is a great example. So just encourage you to, listen to your friends and keep after it. You've got to love, it sounds like you've got a love in your heart for this hobby, but just keep working with your hands and keep strong. And if you ever need help, some encouragement or somebody to talk to, post on the posse. We're here, and I know the community will respond and reach out and support you 100%.
Hey, we have Gordon. I can't pronounce his last name. I was listening to the latest podcast while I was driving my truck last night and thoroughly enjoyed it. I realized that this wonderful hobby does define me and is a huge part of my life. Even though I love my job and I love the company I work for, I still can't wait to get home and glue some plastic together. I also spend the long hours solving problems that might have popped up while working on a build and can't wait to get home to see if my solution works. So far, I'm about 50% with that, but that's part of the fun. I have weekends off and spend as much time as possible at the bench working on a build. Now it's time to head off to bed to get ready for my shift tonight and think about gluing more plastic together. Martin Drayton, episode 105 struck several chords for him. He had an almost 45-year break from modeling, from building as a little kid to starting again during the lockdown when he was having some health issues, in addition to not being able to work his regular job. Scale modeling has now become far more than a hobby for him. He spends an awful lot of time thinking about building, painting, and creating through scale modeling. He had no real creative outlets until he started back up, and he says this has changed his life. He's also been surprised at the response from people from outside the hobby. Being on the road up to 20 days as a flight attendant, he would tell people he was painting, and they would always push for more information. Every one of them has been surprised and impressed by what he's achieving in the confines of a hotel room. The pilots in particular are blown away and often pass his phone around on the shuttle to show his colleagues what he's doing. He says, "Thank you guys for all you do and discuss on the show. The more I hear, the more I understand that we are truly a tribe and a brother/sisterhood."
Yeah, it was great. Martin came over to Denver with me, and we got to talk a lot about what the hobby meant to him. And we had a chance to sit down on the last night. We were over there in Colorado in JB's basement with John Bonani and John Everett as well, and kind of take a look at his models and our models and kind of, talk about taking modeling in different directions. But Martin's got a great passion for the hobby, and he's a good human being. So
Wonder how much cooler the pilots would think if you built an airplane.
Whatever, plane.
All right, Eric Cavina. Regarding the most recent episode, during the post-credits discussion, every good thing that was said about Jeff Feller is deserved. I count myself fortunate that I met him before I realized how amazing of a model, artist, and craftsman he is, because I got to consider him a friend without the awkward fanboy idiocy I would have babbled if I knew his work first. I have a lot of other people that make my life better and more fun because of this thing we do, but fans of Jeff was a bandwagon I couldn't pass without jumping on. Such a great guy. Speaking of Jeff Feller wrote in to say, well, the one time I didn't listen to the post-credits discussion, Eric, appreciate you, brother, and right back at you. I consider meeting you and the rest of our Novamps crew a key moment that matters in my life in the past few years. Not sure I'm that cool, though. I asked my 16-year-old son if he thought his dad was cool, and with no hesitation, he said, no, you're a nerd. Facts.
Hey, speaking of Novamps, TJ, I think yesterday was Pat Brown's birthday. So, Pat, happy birthday, man.
Eric Daglish. Just listened to episode 106, and it got me really psyched up for SMC 2025. I'll be there no matter what. William Chill. Hello, guys. Love the podcast. I agree there is something special about scale modeling that makes it more of a lifestyle than a hobby. I am a 59-year-old American guy currently living in Sweden, and I wanted to share an anecdote related to the discussion about sharing what we do with others. With civilians, is what he says. He goes on to talk about his hobby, and reluctantly one night after work with some young ladies in the office, he was staying late getting ready for his model club meeting that night. They were asking what he was doing there, and he kind of tried to explain that he had a club meeting, and finally they convinced him. He showed them pictures, and they were more impressed than he thought. He was really worried about the nerd title they were going to give him. They were quite impressed and even had questions about how he'd got a lot of these things done. Finally, I want to end with this wonderful letter from Andy Taylor, who had this to say. Episode 105 was timely and poignant. Ours is not just a hobby, it's a lifestyle. The point really hit home on Sunday, 10th November 2024. Billy B.J. DeBecker was taken from our lives way too soon. On that Sunday, family and friends gathered in Canyon City to celebrate Billy's life and his positive impact, no matter on those physically in attendance, but also those online. Would mere hobbyists take time to travel hours and states to pay their respects? It was humbling and an honor to be in attendance, along with John Bonanni, Martin Drayton, John Everett, Scott Gentry, Jeff Hearn, Brian Krieger, and Stuart Malone as we gathered for a modeler that had touched all our lives. His wife, Glenda, and son, Michael, were touched that people who put plastic together would rally around her family in their time of grief. Shared grief is easier to shoulder, especially as we talked about BJ in his workspace. He was like most of us with his stash, reference books, and tools. We laughed over his paint selection, representing most manufacturers, including local and testers, the dozens of tweezers, each with their own purpose, the multiple resin 3D printers, and the minutiae that makes our modeling unique and special. It was at that wonderful ceremony that we found out about another modeling friend that had passed away that morning. Matthew Johnston was a kind and quiet soul with an impressive talent of making models and friends. We should take comfort that our ties bring us closer, and friends are only a call, text, or online program away. Saying goodbye is tough. Remember the good times and make memories, as that is what we take with us.
Yeah, well said, Andy. Appreciate all that feedback. Again, if you've got feedback for the posse, you can send that to us at plasticpossepodcast@gmail.com, or just go ahead and post it on the Plastic Posse. All right. Well, thanks for all that, Doug. That was a lot of feedback. Appreciate everybody's thoughts and that they shared with us. Let's head on over to Grant for some cross promotion.
Plastic Posse is just one of several great scale modeling podcasts. If you are interested in more scale modeling content, you can head over to modelpodcast.com, where you will find links to many other great podcasts about our hobby. The Posse also recommends several excellent modeling blogs and vlogs, such as Rick Lawler's Propaganda YouTube channel, Clayton Ockerby's Workbench Hobbies, Stephen Lee's Sprue, Pies and Frets, Chris Wallace's Model Airplane Maker, Jim Bates, A Scale Canadian TV, and David Brian Bridges' DB Scale Modeling Studio blog.
Thanks, Grant. Hey, Justin, what time
Hey,
is
Scott.
it, man?
Hey, man, it's the time that everybody's been waiting for. It's time for merch. If you would like to rep the Posse, check out our awesome merch on our Triple P Spring page. You can find coffee mugs, t-shirts, jumpers. Jumpers. Is that for real? Like jumpers.
Yeah.
Man. Or even some of our world famous Triple P lounge trousers. You can order all of your stylish Plastic Posse merch on the web at www.loungetrousers.com.
Thanks, man.
Jumpers.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. And lounge trousers if you don't have any. So
I do not have any.
Well, we need to rectify that, man. You got to get some. But rumor has it when Mr. Benani comes back after the first of the year, we're gonna have some new styles. We need some Cliff Herring artwork. He's done some stuff that's really, really cool. And of course, Peter Fidlotsky's group build logo. We got to get that on a t-shirt. It's too cool not to, man. Well, hey, everybody. Thanks for riding along with us for episode 107. We continue to just be humbled by and appreciate your support for what we do. We appreciate your passion for the hobby, which is what we try to talk about and, support as well. And thank you especially to our amazing patrons. Also, of course, our partners, Tankcraft, Bases by Bill, Tamiya USA, and AK Interactive for supporting what we do and letting us do this. Remember, the Plastic Posse is available on YouTube, and we'll be back again in 2 or maybe 3 weeks. We'll see how that all works out. In the meantime, if you have feedback, suggestions, ideas, or you just want to drop us a line, send your feedback again to plasticpossepodcast@gmail.com, or go ahead and message us on either Facebook or one of our other platforms, YouTube or Instagram, or any of them. So anyway, with that said, gentlemen, thank you so much. And until next time,
Yeehaw!
did you enjoy the podcast that you just heard? Well, if you want to support us, one of the best ways that you can help to do that is to become a Plastic Posse Outrider. If you want to become an Outrider, it's really easy, and you can even do it wearing jumpers or lounge trousers, Justin. You can just go on over to our Patreon page at patreon.com/Plastic Posse Podcast and set up a recurring donation there. These contributions are used to help offset the cost of bringing you the Posse and also supply merch and other things that we do as well. There are 3 different tiers of support, and they start at just $1 a month. There are some great benefits to being an Outrider. You get early access to our podcast. You get premium access to the host. You get the chance to appear right here on the podcast, and also exclusive Triple P content and social events at model shows.
Let's recognize our amazing deputy marshals. These contributors help the posse do what we do, and we sincerely thank them for their support. They are Richard Lane, Robbie Doffs, Wesley Becker, Eric Dalglish, David Wassel, Matt Tutman, Glenn Fellon, Patrick Neff, Zach Pease, Robert Halleck, Brett Marquand, Greg Williams, Nick Wolf, Brian Clark, Sean Earl, Black Hat Scale Models, Ben Hardaway, Craig Jarbo, Adam Jackson, Red Beach One Studios, James Rondo, Mike Norris, Stephen Rodwell, Rick Cooper, Eric Cravina, John Hale, Eric Kane, Logan Hansen, Paul Burdett, Tim Gidcombe, Dan Newman, Robert Blocker, Tyler Moore, Derek Post, Craig Flynn, Kenneth Childress, Nick Butta, Drew Gardner, Scott Hall, Frank Perrone, the voice of Bob, Jeremy Diamond, Ryan Smith, Terry Wilkinson, Chris Lovewell, Andrew Callis, Ethan Eidenmill, Steve Baker, Joe Porche, Patrick Brown, Jay Kidd, Brandon Gentry, Lee Fogel, Robert Klein, Mark Ewing, Toadman, Model Doc, Doug Reed, Greg James, Les Ricala, John Everett, Uncle Buck, Mark Bradley, Eric Brubaker, Jeremy Moore, DB Scale Model Studio, Matt Johnson, Jeremy Elliott, Mike Talley, previous seat, mediocre middle-aged modeler, almost had it, Dan Novel, and JC Osborne.
Let's not forget our posse foreman. This crew is made up of posse outriders who give the deputy marshals a hand, and we also thank them for their support. David, Keith, Scale Model Craft, Dwayne, AK Armor, Bill, JAK, Casey, Therese, Raphael, Russ, Stefan, Mikkel, LaVar, Gil, Mike, Michael, Steve, Scott, Emery, The Krieger, Aussie Modeler, William, Jeff, Eddie, Ross, Warhoff Models, G. Baker, Tom Stuff, Crazy Loca, Len, Cliff, Damian, Cody, Nuke Man Mike, Ash, Irish Pat, Paul, iBones Models, Mr. Grizz, Jackson, Joel, Chris, Robert, Jamie, MD Models, Papa Steve Munsell, JV, Eric, Matthew, and David.
And of course, our $1 and free posse outriders like Michael Haggerty. Thanks, Michael. Lastly, would you kindly consider posting a review of the Triple P on your favorite podcast platform? Each posted review helps other modelers find the Plastic Posse.